Eyes, like to leave. Someone please lead us.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I apologize for the lack of seating happening here. We are sharing this library with the board also going through here. So I just hope that you guys will bear with us while that comes through. Okay, I'm going to take attendance right now. Tim Kelly, Gregory Simpson, President, Diana Klein, President, Debbie Dougherty, President, Matt Jankowski, and absent is John Perry coming through here. Okay, we don't have the minutes yet. We'll have them shortly. Coming through. We are going through a lot of issues coming through here, so I'll both the town clerk is have issues with other things going, so this is more important to do those things first. What I'd like to do now is this is now a time to speak, public speaking here, but I want you guys to do, please understand this thing that what we need you to do is speak very respectful. You know, we want to keep this this meeting here respectful and very professional for all that. So if you are ready to I want to open up the meeting.
I second.
Second, is there a discussion? All agreed? Aye. The meeting is called to order. Let's start with Jeremy Schiffer.
Hi, good evening. A lot of you know me, some of you don't. My name is Jeremy Schiffer. I'm the Community Relations Public Information Officer here for the town of Hurley. If you need my address for the minutes, I live at 46 Grandview Avenue in Kingston, just outside your beautiful town. So my job is Public Information Officer. Among other things, that includes monitoring and posting for the town's Facebook page. There's a resolution on tonight's agenda that calls for barring public from commenting on the town's Facebook posts and barring the town, namely me, from commenting on the social media posts of others. I strongly oppose this and would like to explain. Social media, in which I have vast professional experience from my years as the Daily Freeman City editor and my time working for Hurley, is a two-way street designed to allow for give and take. Disabling comments on our Facebook posts is a tacit way of telling our residents that what the town says goes and we don't care what they think. This sends an awful message. And despite the position of those who might support this resolution, or what they might have been told incorrectly, we are not legally liable for comments made on our posts by other people. It's also worth noting that as the administrator of the Facebook page, I have the ability to hide or delete comments deemed to be improper, and in extreme cases, I have the ability to block users from posting altogether. Worth noting too is that I randomly checked the official Facebook pages of 30 other communities in New York State, 19 in Hudson Valley and 11 elsewhere, and found that only 3 barred members of the public from commenting. Also allowing comments, by the way, are the official pages of the New York State Governor's Office. Excuse me. Also allowing comments, by the way, are the official pages of the New York State Governor's Office, all New York State departments, including police and corrections, and the New York State Bar Association. As for the town of Hurley not commenting on the posts of others, this appears to be aimed at me, because the person who wrote tonight's resolution is, no, excuse me. I've given a ton of extra hours to this town. You're going to give me 1 extra minute to speak.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Excuse me. I'm asking for permission to complete. As for the town of Hurley not commenting on the posts of others, this appears to be aimed at me, because the member who wrote tonight's resolution is, for reasons I do not understand, upset that I shared a link from our website in a Facebook comment thread. I did this merely to set the record straight amid rampant misinformation about the property reassessment process in Hurley. And again, all I did was provide a link to information that had already been posted on our website. I agree that the town, me, should not use social media to take a stand on any issue or share personal opinions. I have never done so and would never do so. But there's nothing wrong, legally or otherwise, with sharing in a Facebook comment thread information that is already public and official. That said, Supervisor Bonds and I spoke this afternoon, and agreed that before commenting in a Facebook thread on behalf of the town, I will get his okay first. So please reject this resolution on tonight's agenda. Approving it will hamstring my ability to do my job to the fullest, and it will diminish the town's ability to properly and accurately communicate with its residents. Thank you for the extra time.
Okay, Joe Passio.
Joan Passione, 44 Holiday Drive, Woodstock, CAC Chair. This is in regard to old business, and it's about the greenways, zero waste. I think you should put, yes, pull it down. Okay. I really believe we should put a question on the survey that we're doing for the comprehensive plan that will see whether or not the town should proceed with zero waste. We will put something in there to the effect that how many people might use it, if we think it's viable, and then you can do your investigation. So I think we need to add another one or two questions. So I'm not going to put the survey online yet. We're going to hold it off. I will put the questions together for you, and then we can look them over. All right. I just think it's important that the people here decide whether or not it's going to be something we need to do. And then you look at other, you look at everybody in town in the sense of the businesses that can give us the zero waste. All right. I don't know if that's something that you would want to do. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Mitchell Collins.
I think my,
You want to wait?
yeah.
Okay. Mike Kelly.
Hi, I'm Mike Kelly. I live on Fortner, and Orchard Street. And I'm here speaking because I heard we were going to be talking about problems with, Zandhook and Schoolhouse Road. And I would just like to say, where I live, the traffic is horrific, especially big construction trucks going up and down that road in the morning and the afternoon. I don't know where they're going. But one thing I wanted to give some ideas. For one thing, the stop signs seem like a good idea. People aren't paying a lot of attention to them. I don't know if putting like a flashing light on them might help for folks who aren't used to them being there. I saw that they put up a speed marker thing right there, but that, for the people who are going to notice that, they're already stopping at the stop signs. It might be better to put it farther away so that it'll catch people before they get to the stop area. But it's a horrible area, and there's kids, when I'm out there in the mornings gardening, I watch the kids walking to school right down that street, and it's just awful. And the noise is awful. I don't know for sure what all the problems are with Schoolhouse, but one thing I thought of is, if it is a problem, I don't like coming over that hill. It seems kind of scary. Maybe we could just close the road down at the bottom. I don't know why it needs to be open to go through there, because we can come down and go past Stewart's and cross Tonan. I don't like it. I'd like to go down there, but it's just an idea. Anyway, I just wanted to try to give some constructive ideas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jan Nato.
Oh, no.
Noto.
Oh, never mind.
Ann Kelly.
Ann Kelly, 119 Griffin Drive, Hurley. So the last meeting that I was at, you brought up the safety on Xantuk Road. I want to say that Xantuk Road has always been dangerous. 65 years ago, I attended kindergarten at the Hurley School. At the time, all children living 2 miles or less had to walk. Knowing the danger, 4 mothers on Walnut Street carpooled. The following year, my parents exercised their right to send me to a parochial school because the bus would pick me up at Xantuk and Walnut. I went to St. Joseph's in Kingston. Then, a few years later, I had to beg to walk to the Hurley Library with an older friend to get my Bobbsey Twin and Nancy Drew books. Please consider addressing safety concerns for walkers, bikers, and drivers on Xanthook Road.
Thank you.
Mike, can you just hold the comments until, I mean, there's an enormous number of people standing in the hall, maybe we can create another row of chairs and get people.
You'll probably
They don't
have
have any
chairs.
chairs. Well, Anyway, does anybody want to come in from that hall area and are you here? Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And Stockwell.
Hi, I'm Anna Stockwell. I live at 17 Xanthook Road, which is on the little section of Xanthook Road that is the one-way section where everybody speeds by our house every morning. And I'm here on behalf of myself and my neighbors who live next to me, and also another neighbor who lives on Main Street who couldn't be here tonight. Our first request, and hopefully this will be addressed later, is we would love crosswalks, please, crosswalks. I will personally come with my paintbrush and help paint crosswalks. And if the town of Hurley can't afford it, I will do it myself. I just need permission to do that, please. And I just, I have a lot of friends who live in the neighborhood who have children. I plan on having children myself soon. And we want our kids to be able to walk to school safely, and crosswalks are the first priority for allowing our kids to walk to school safely. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak? Ben Daly.
Good evening, thank you. Actually, I'd like to make a couple of comments. My name is Lynn Bailey. I live in Walton Lane in Hurley. Just, first of all, I also administer a Facebook page for the town, and that's the Climate Smart Facebook page. And I strongly agree with Jeremy that we should allow comments on our pages. And we do have the ability to delete or hide comments which are inappropriate. That's always there, and you can block somebody. But it can be a good avenue to provide some discourse occasionally when there is no other avenue around. So I would strongly support not blocking comments on Facebook. Safe streets is a big problem, and it's also a climate smart point, if you will, to have safe streets, bicycle lanes, and walking lanes. So hopefully we have a grant challenge going on, and if people help out, we can get some money to throw in the pot for that. 209 Schoolhouse. I have to remind everybody how unsafe it is to make a left turn. And I use Schoolhouse when I'm coming around to Nake, so I can make a right turn going north on 209. I'm not a speeder, but if you want to limit access there, then you're really going to have a traffic light at 209 where Winthrop comes there. That's the only way that you can guarantee some measure of safety at that intersection. Greenway composting plan. I want to remind Joan and the board that the first half of the money that's in that contract is primarily for professional assessment and grant writing. The CAC spent $7,500 to write a grant for the NRI, and this is not much more than that for the same purpose. There's no commitment on the town to execute the second half of the contract. The first half of the contract, I believe, is about 9 or 10 grand, and that's really the commitment that we're talking about. I think it's pretty important that we get a professional assessment of the transfer station and the trash that's going on in this town. And due to the cost of removing a lot of the garbage from our own town, I think it's great that we should have someone come in here and help us write a grant to gather opinions and come up with some solutions. Waiting to put a couple of questions on a town-wide questionnaire can be very disappointing, as we've seen in the past. Thank you.
I just want to, I want to introduce two people that are here.
Mike, use your mic. Try to get into it.
I want to introduce two people that are special guests here. County Legislator Eric Stewart here and County Legislator Manager Joe Green here. And I believe, Manager, you want to say something? You can't say anything.
The first thing I want to do is commend Hurley for the actions you have taken. For example, there's a wonderful plan that was developed using the Scenic Hudson solar mapping tool to find the good places to implement solar and other renewables or storage. And also the things that you've done for energy efficiency. And I want to say that some of you may know that I was the recycling coordinator for Ulster County for over 10 years. And during that time, I had the privilege of knowing and working with Shabazz and knowing of the work that he did in Beacon, in Poughkeepsie, at Vassar, and now the amazing work that they're doing in Clintondale. Shabazz and Josephine know more about composting than anyone in the region. I say that unreservedly. And this county needs this pilot. So in the tradition of the good work that you have already done, I hope that you will support this waste diversion effort to show how we can maximize waste diversion. And then if we do have to site a landfill, it will, first of all, not contain organic material, which is responsible for methane release from landfills. It'll reduce the amount going to the landfill. It'll reduce the odor. So I sincerely hope that you will support this innovative project and show the rest of the county how it can be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak?
Julian Shapiro, 192 Sandhook. About 6 weeks ago, I brought my concerns to the town board about the school bus stop at the town in Sandhook. And I'm happy to report that the town did something about it. And I would like to thank the town for taking the initiative. And I encourage anyone and everyone in the town that feels that an intersection isn't safe to bring to the town, see what they can do. I spoke with the director of bus safety for New York State Department of Transportation, and he said that there are strict regulations on buses, but no regulations for school bus stops. And directed me towards the New York State Education Department, and they do have recommendations for how to make school bus stops safe. And there are approved DOT signs that you can put a certain distance from a stop. And I'm confident that the county can maybe address that, or the state. And having the streets safer will only make our community more desirable for them. Thank you.
Sure. Hello, my name is Harry McNamara, 153 Russell Road. I've spoken on the road safety a couple times, and I want to thank our county legislators for being here and working on it, and the town working on it. I noticed the stop sign at Schoolhouse Lane, that's great. It's a start. Love to see it. What I would like to just say is tonight we're talking about Sandhook and Schoolhouse Lane. It's wonderful, has to be addressed. I think that there is a larger project that might take some time, but I want to just plant the seed for Main Street. Hurley is a historic street. There's plaques up and down the street. When you go to other historic towns in the area, they're not going by at 35 miles an hour. If you go down the Stockade and Rondout, and you go to New Paltz and you go to Stone Ridge, none of them have that kind of speed limit. We want people to slow down and look and respect the town's history and think about what a great place Hurley is, like they do when they drive past Stone Ridge Main Street, all those beautiful homes. They go, wow, this is so beautiful. We have them, they're right here. So, let's do that. Let's respect the history of this town in that way and the safety of the families that live here. And one more even grander project that I just want to put out there for everyone to start thinking about. When you drive down State Route 209, all the way down, I do it all the time. When you go to Stone Ridge, the speed limit is 30 miles an hour. When you go through Kerhonkson, which does not have a lot of historic buildings, the speed limit is 30 miles an hour. When you go through Ellenville, it's 30 miles an hour. So we can have a slowdown. I don't know why the town of Hurley is the forgotten stepchild of Ulster County, and you can just blast through here because going 35 down Zantook, going 35 down Main Street, going 55 down 209 sets the tone for going fast through the rest of the town and just cruising right through to the detriment of our town's history and the safety of its residents. So thank you for the work so far, and let's keep at it. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Shannon Rice, 26 Sandpoke. I'm also on the one-way, right across the street from the cemetery. I just want to thank everybody for hearing us tonight and taking the initiative to discuss safety measures with these ongoing traffic issues in Hurley. I'm a new resident. I've been here for about 2 years. Since the installation of the stop sign, I have noticed a huge influx of traffic coming down the one-way. It just seems to be a little bit easier to roll through that stop sign. Now you can stop at that stop sign and then take a right instead of stopping at the other 2 stop signs that you have to stop at. Thank you for trying to mitigate those issues with the stop sign, but it doesn't seem to be working because people just disregard it. It's also come to my attention that GPS seems to be sending trucks, semi-trucks down the one way. With that being a blind turn, we are ill-equipped to handle the size of the vehicles and the level of traffic happening through the town of Hurley. I also am with Harry on this one. I don't think Hurley should be 35 miles per hour. I don't think that one way should be 30 miles per hour. I definitely propose, lowering the speed limit so you can see those beautiful buildings and then make it safer for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. My name is Patricia Scott. I'm at 434 Joyce Lane. So I reiterate that too. I think that Main Street town should definitely be 30, if not 25. Who can actually do 35 there? Such a short span. So if that's possible, I don't think anyone who lives in this town would object. It's the people traveling through and cutting through that want it to be as fast as possible. So, I'm here just to reiterate, I know that Joyce Lane has been approved for additional stop signs, which we need at each end, or not, speed limit signs of 25, because that's how people are getting out of any tickets that they receive, because it's not, you need to have 2 at each end. We have 1 at each end. So as soon as possible, we'd love to have those signs. I know that we have to wait for the speed bumps, the weather thing and all that. But at the very least, it can't be that big a deal to put 2 stop signs in. I have a lot of tools, so I can help. That would help, and right at the end of the road, probably right near where you're gonna put that stop sign or speed limit sign. So thank you for, doing the right thing here and for all your effort. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak?
Hi, I'm Karen Snyder at 135 Santa, right at the top of Walnut Street. So like my concerned neighbors and fellow citizens have been talking about, I think there's several issues going on in Santa. I'm living right at the top of Walnut. It's at the crux of where everyone picks up speed coming down the hill or from the other direction where there's a really sharp turn. So I know several times it's been difficult to just back out of our own driveway. without and be able to see. And people are just coming so fast from both directions. So +1 to all of you who have talked about the speed issues, both on Zanhook and then also on the one portion. As someone who frequently walks their dogs around that corner, it's really fast and I've had to jump away several times, like onto people's lawns. So the speed there and the traffic there is definitely a concern. I think also in terms of Main Street, it's also incredibly fast. We do want people to enjoy the beautiful Main Street that we have in this town. So +1 to several of the issues here, and thank you again for putting some time and attention and resources towards it.
I can't resist, the cemetery.
What's your name?
Bill Van Allen. The cemetery, we talked about it before, I'm with the rail trail, et cetera. Yes. I think that we would have more signs directing people to walk and get off of Zanhook and walk through the cemetery. And you cut off the boats lane, the boats, and they don't have any problem. So could have a sign down where West Street hits Zanhook. Yeah, we're talking pedestrians here. And just to think about a different routing of pedestrian traffic and bikes, of course, through the cemetery.
Thank you. It's only 15 minutes.
I'm Dave Noto. I live at 115 Porter Street. You guys did a great job with stop signs. Thank you. 30 miles an hour would be great. But you got to also think of sight distance. What people see when they pull out on a road, they're looking down a hedge. They're going to run you over anyway. They have to be able to see out. And the right of way is larger than the pavement. You can maintain more than what's paved. You have that right. And that way, if you clear out the sight distance, you'll find one, you leave people places to walk. You make the dogs a lot happier. And some of the parents with little kids, I mean, it could work.
Thank you. Anybody else wishes?
I'm Jan Noto. I'm competing with my husband, apparently. I also live at 115 Fortin Street, which connects the school and the cemetery. We're covered. We have noticed a big difference. I understand that our street is a county street. So thank you for the county for putting the signs in. However, it's not all peaches. So people are ignoring the signs either deliberately, which I'm sure in some cases, or they just aren't seeing them. I think it was better when the flags were still on the sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, just if you don't think there's a lot of traffic, because there isn't during the day sometimes. However, we had been gardening in our yard, and a man drove right to our yard, through our neighbor's yard, and out back onto Fortner Street and said, "I don't know what happened." And we said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "I think I know what happened. I'm going to kill you." He moved a stone. This is how fast he was going. We have a big stone with our house number on it. He moved the whole thing. The point being, it is not a safe area. We have school children. Again, we have dogs and cats. We have wildlife. We have befuddled seniors. We have everybody in the world walking through there. The same thing, I work at the free library, and we see the same thing there. We'd like our citizens to be safe. So is someone here from the county to discuss this with us? Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, give it.
Because I think, again, it's a great start, but we do need a little extra fluff, even an old abandoned police car, anything to sit there. a retired cop who was bored, whatever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Also, Whitefall, 100 Zandhook. I just honestly want to say, I live right in that dangerous part of Zandhook, and once that young boy got hit on Zandhook, I just want to honestly thank Brendan Masterson from the Nelson County Highway Department, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Baums, Jen Metcher's office, because we've had meetings. I've sent them analysis that I did on behalf of New York State DOT data, and they were very receptive and responsive. And that accident happened Good Friday. So I just want to thank everybody for the responsiveness. Mr. Stewart, you're very responsive, Mr. Baums as well. So I just want to say they are listening, and I really do appreciate such a short period of time that we do have a captive audience on this session. Just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you. Who hasn't spoken yet? Okay, I know that. No one else wants to speak? All right, I make a motion to close this public comment period at this point. Is there a second? Any discussion? We already had that. All right. Who's in favor? Aye. So be it. I just want to say something. We do have Eric Stewart here, and he's here for that reason. So I talk about Xander more or less. So, sharpen your pitchforks. It's right there.
Thanks, Mike. Got your protected vest.
Okay, we are now going to open up our new business. All right, department reports first of all. Climate smart.
Okay, we have a little short presentation for you. We'll make it short. My name is Lynn Bailey. I do the website and the graphics and Facebook for the town of Hurley's Climate Smart Task Force and a few other things. I hope you enjoyed the postcards you received in the mail, and if you can help us out with that information. The subject of tonight's little chat will be about community solar. Somebody didn't get one? It's all about the challenge this year. I don't have one with me. So we took up a grant challenge. Let me make that screen. No, don't open this. It's a PDF. It's not a PDF document. So this is that's all right, just leave it where it is. We'll just go to the next slide. Get a full screen here. Anyway, we started this grant challenge, which you'll see on the second slide, to encourage people to put heat pumps in their homes, or to use heat pump hot water heat pumps, to purchase electric vehicles, and to sign up for community solar. Of all those three things, the cheapest thing that anyone can do is to sign up for community solar. Let me change the page. Sorry for the technical slowness here. Anyway, hopefully you've seen this information before. But if we can get 50 people to sign up for community solar, we are eligible to receive a $10,000 grant. This grant money was made available and it will be going away, I believe, at the end of this year. Anybody who signed up for community solar on or after June 1st of last year is eligible to be counted for this particular grant. The heat pump installations are $5,000 grant for the first 5, another 15, we get an additional, get $10,000. For EV purchases, we need 5 people to purchase cars in the town or businesses. I know that 4 were already purchased. I don't know about the 5th. So that's the challenge. We can use that money really any way the town sees fit. So we had an extra $10,000 for sidewalks or signs. I'm sure that would be welcome in the town. So why electrify? Well, we're planning for, decarbonizing our future. So, right, so this is number 2. We had a talk last week about heat pumps, and next month, by the way, we're going to talk about electric cars. So we're electrifying to get carbon out of the air, and it's also usually cheaper to use electricity in a lot of cases. Every situation is a little bit different, but renewable energy is becoming more and more competitive. Tom Conrad was talking about how you can make your own renewable energy plan, which really is taking a look around your home and seeing what uses electricity and how efficient that is. So, and making a schedule for, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be ready to change my hot water heater to a heat pump hot water heater. Like everybody's hot water heater seems to go on schedule, right? This lasts for 5 years. Son of a gun. Didn't stop working after 5 years. So just look what's in your house that uses electricity, what the alternatives might be, and plan it into how you might maintain your home going forward. So this, like I said, one of the first and easiest things you can do is to do a community solar sign up. I say easy, but you still have to go through the internet, and that can be stressful for some people. But you have to have an email address to sign up, and it doesn't cost you anything. Continuing. Yeah, so I am on the task force, as we mentioned. I'm also a Cornell climate steward. So what is community solar? Basically, you can't put or afford to put your own solar panels on your roof, but there are solar farms that are nearby. And you're saying, okay, I agree to subscribe to that farm. You don't buy the energy directly from the farm, but the farm is built and it supplies electricity to the grid, and you get credits for that. So when you sign up for these farms as they're ongoing, it gives them subscribers and helps to channel more renewable energy into using solar. Right now, Central Hudson doesn't use much solar energy in our area. Across the state, I think it's about 20%. So if you are a Central Hudson customer, you're eligible if you don't have solar panels. And as I said before, if we can get 50 people, then we're eligible to get a $10,000 grant. Now, this is sort of what it looks like on your bill. It's on page 2. The Central Hudson bill, you'll see something at the bottom there, CDG subscription and credit. So in this example, there's about a $20 savings in that particular bill. And on the next example, this is something I got in my email box from Solstice, because I have community solar telling me that my production was $2,000 worth and my credits were $1,800. So I saved $200 on my electric bill in 2023. And you can have similar savings if you sign up. Now, signing up, well, first you have to go to that link. You go to centralhudson.com and just look for the clean energy market. And you get a page that the top of the page will look exactly what you see there. And you put in a zip code and hit search projects. So a few things will come up, showing you what projects are in the area, and this will change. All right, you want to look for something that's active and you don't have to wait to join. Sometimes they have a bonus, and sometimes they have consolidated billing. So here's an example. I don't believe this one is still currently active, but it might be. And I can't read it from here, so. I put my glasses on, you know. But anyway, it has details. So what you're going to look for, as I said, is are they taking active subscriptions? Do they have consolidated billing? And I want to talk a little bit about that consolidated billing. And then you sign into your Central Hudson account, or you make one, and they have 4 steps for you to follow. So it does sound like a lot. And you can't actually sign up by phone, like, because all of the companies are issuing electronic bills. But you can call several people to help you out with that. And they'll walk you through it, or they might even help do it for you over the phone, as long as you have an email address. Okay, so this is their page at Central Hudson. You see there's a phone number. If you have an account and account number, they'll help you set up the service. If you're pretty adept at doing this stuff, you'll find it's pretty easy to go through the whole process. There's also energy coaching available from New Yorkers for Clean Power. Tom Conrad was here last week talking about that. And there's a regional hub from Cornell University, which can help you not only with this, but with other things. So we ask that you, if you have community solar and you got it since June of last year, to email us. We need to know when it started and who your subscriber is and what your zip code is. And then we can count that towards our 50 subscribers towards the grant.
That's number down, how many people are there?
I don't have that number. Our coordinators out of town. And keep in mind that there's a bunch of free resources around to help you choose different energy choices. If you're thinking about getting heat pumps or an electric car, you know, there are a lot of resources out there. Wiring America, you know, this presentation will be posted on the town's website.
Yes, that'll be posted tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow, so you can always go through this at your leisure. And you can always write us or make a comment on our Facebook page, and we'll get back to you and help you out in any way we can.
Lynn, question?
Yes.
On the community solar, does Central Hudson or the community solar providers report that to you, or do the people in the town actually have to manually report that?
Right, we need people to let us know.
Okay.
Krista was trying to find another way to get the information. So I do want to make a couple of remarks about consolidated billing. Most of the time, they're not offering it anymore through Central Hudson, because Central Hudson had a lot of billing issues that some of you may be aware of. Right? And they also don't apply, if you have budget billing, they don't apply the credits until August. So you should know that. I happen to have a consolidated billing. One of the companies has their own consolidated billing where they send the bill and we pay them and they'll pay at Central Hudson. And the other ones, we have sort of 2 bills. You'll have a bill, I guess, for the delivery portion of your service from Central Hudson and the usage portion from the solar farm. But anyway, we strongly hope that you can take advantage of the savings if you don't already. And if you sign up, please let us know. And again, we're still looking for people who have put heat pumps in their homes since end of last November to let us know about that. I think a lot of them have gone in. We're trying to work with some of the companies in the area to give us the information. Doesn't require your name, but just what zip code you're in, and they can confirm that they did the installation. And that's a big project that we're working on at the moment. So thank you for your time and patience. Are there any questions? Please feel free.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay, Tracy?
Just because of the unusual sort of way that we're approaching this, the town clerk's report for March, this point to date, we've brought in $24,098. The bulk of that is through the building permit fee. Just want to give. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now? Okay. So we brought in this month to date $15,039 through building permit fees, which is the bulk of the money that we've brought in. But we have, sorry, to date we've brought in $24,098 all year. But this month we brought in a total of $8,609 just running through the system. We're hoping that next month we will actually be able to give you an accurate report on the vouchers. We're working on that diligently, or Wendy is working on that. Down the clock. So everybody should be very appreciative of Wendy's time and effort.
Thank you.
Michael, you're up.
Howdy. I'll start off with Kimball Terrace. The drainage project's gonna start and commence on Monday. And we'll be going around tomorrow and handing out letters to all of the residents on the streets. So to notify them of the work that's gonna be commencing. I haven't gotten a convincing end time. I don't know if they spoke to you, Greg. Did they 3 weeks?
By the end of April,
Yeah.
by the end of April, they're considering to be.
That's all right,
done.
though.
Yeah.
So that's going on. I know that the RFP is ready to come to the board for the Wildwood project. And I'm hoping that, the board can take a look at that. That's been ready since last fall. That's been a 17-year process to get that on the books. And I would like to see that one go out to RFP to see what kind of prices we get back on that contract. We finished up a culvert that we tried to get done last fall, but the weather turned on us on the end of Holland and Flanders. We replaced about 200 feet of pipe in a catch basin over there. That was bad. It was partially destroyed by a garbage truck fire back in 2019. And I tried to get the insurance company to pay, but the company sold and we never would get the money, but it's done now. The Route 28 blacktop plan has been approved, which will open hopefully next week. They're saying April 1st, they'll start making blacktop. So we'll be able to get out and start hot patching holes. We didn't want to go out with cold patch because the cold patch, we've got to rip out anyway because the snowplows will rip it out. So we're sort of waiting on the potholes to get the type 7 blacktop that we need from the 28 materials plant and get those potholes going. Have a lot of culvert projects going on this year. Some are working in conjunction with New York State DOT. The pipeline across from the Hannaford Plaza on Route 375 has got to get replaced. We do have one resident over there that's pumping water in the road, so we gave them a copy of the state regs that identifies them as liable for pumping water in the road. So we're letting them know that they can hook up to our new catch basin when we complete that project. We're going to do the work. New York State is going to run the traffic control for us, which is nice of them. And then we have another one up on Laurel and 28 that we have to put culvert in. That they'll also work with us on that one. I just ask for patience from everybody in the community because we have so many drainage problems. And they're getting exasperated by these 2-inch rainstorms. We don't get a half-inch rain anymore. April showers have turned into April downpours, along with March downpours and January downpours and February downpours and every month of the year downpours. I think we've had 6 inches of rain already since March 1st. So it's pretty wild. I'm just glad it wasn't snow. What else we got? Oh, one thing I wanted to address is, people are under the impressions that we have 50-foot right of way on a lot of our roads, and that's not the case on many of them. Many of our roads are called by use roads.
And what that means is that they were old wagon trails that evolved into paved roads. And we only have the road base and a little bit of shoulder that we can utilize. Even some of the developments back in the sixties, late fifties and sixties, we only have 33-foot right-of-ways on them. So it's a misnomer when everybody thinks that we have a 50-foot right-of-way. I know the planning board usually looks at a subdivision time, they'll look for the person subdividing the property to give that 25-foot easement from the center line of the road back to allow us better maintenance of the roads, but that's not the case around town. As far as the speed limits go, up until last year, the minimum speed limit was 30 miles an hour. And when we wanted to drop the speed limit on a road, we had to get New York State DOT approval. And a lot of times they would deny it because they say that it's not a matter of the speed, it's a matter of enforcement. And it is a matter of enforcement because we need better enforcement. We talked about this, Eric. But we can, like on Schoolhouse Lane, we put the 15-mile-an-hour signs up for the school zone. We did put the stop sign down there and we replaced the yield sign with a stop sign. We're waiting for the stop sign ahead sign to come in. There's been a backlog of those. Normally we get those from Courtcraft, which is the prison that manufactures a sign, but they're months behind. So we've been going to Glencoe and it's a couple bucks more than that much. It's pretty comparable. The other thing that you're going to start seeing is I'm going to start talking to the engineers at the end of Schoolhouse and Russell Road. I want to constrict that intersection down. We'll open up the discussion. You guys can talk about it, but I don't think that making that street a one-way is ever going to work because your population in Russell Road will be adamant for the other end because too many people from Hurley have died on the intersection with Russell Road and 209 and Russell Road and Winecoop. And people are scared to go make that route around, so they use Schoolhouse. But we'd like to limit it to residents and, smaller vehicles, not these tractor trailers. Since they did the bridge work on 209, Google started putting everybody onto Russell Road and they would turn up Schoolhouse, and they've destroyed our sidewalks up there and the 100-year-old curbing that got donated back in 2006 there was an old quarry across from Wall Street up on 28, and I was able to get Mike Kite and the DEP to donate all that rock to us for free. And it's 100-year-old rock. We still have a few of the pieces of it left up in the back in storage that we're going to use to fix the curbing that's broke over here now. But they're going to have to buy bluestone to replace the ones that are broke. We did an estimate. I want to say 2021. It was about $125,000 at the time to upgrade this, just to be the north side of Main Street. But that's still in limbo. I don't know if we ever got any money granted for it. As far as crosswalks, we did meet with the principal and the county and our engineers, and they were adamant that they can't put crosswalks in unless there's sidewalks on both sides. So I know that we tried to get a sidewalk built through in town, which was something that we should consider again. But again, we have to find the money for it because our budget is $135,000 for the year for repairs. And I have two box culverts. One has a 4x8 by inch thick steel plate across it, and up by the old Glenford post office on Old 28, because the culvert was collapsing. I've tried for 5 years now to get funding for that. When we started, it was $125,000 to repair that culvert. The estimate I got for the one on Nissen Lane came in at almost $500,000. And, that's about the same size as the one on Glenford. So we're talking almost $1 million to replace two box culverts. So we're looking everywhere for grant money. I know that the infrastructure bill said they were going to provide money. We're lobbying, our superintendents lobbied up in Albany for more funding on March 6th. And, we'll continue to lobby for more money to fund these projects. But I mean, the town would go broke if we had to bond all these. It's just, it's phenomenal, especially with this rain now. And all those culverts up on Old 28 are all old Rosendale cement that was built. back in, I want to say, when they were doing the reservoir, when they turned the old plank road into a paved road. So, you know, we're doing what we can. We have a limited budget, but we try to prioritize our issues, and we try to do as many of them as we can in-house. We have for the last few years, but we neglected a lot of the driveway pipes and roads that need to be repaired, so we've been concentrating on that this year. Luckily, we got an early start this year. I mean, last year we didn't start until almost April for
May.
the end of May. And here it is, we're still in March, and we've got a major 200-foot culvert project already done, so I'm pretty proud of the men. So we'll keep plugging away.
My question for you?
What's that?
Question for you?
Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned, the state. Where are we at, do you know, with the governor's office, the governor's budget, and the sort of the presentation as far as the CHIPS money goes? Which for those of you who don't know what that means, that's a consolidated highway improvement program, which is the paving money that we get reimbursed here.
Yeah, there's 4 programs that we get. The CHIPS money, I don't know the individual off the top of my head, but I know we get CHIPS, we get POP, which is a new program, and fill our potholes. I think that was somewhere in the 23 to 25,000 range. We get Pave New York, which is I think about 28,000, and then we get emergency snow removal, which is another 18,000. Altogether, we get about 265,000 a year, but we spend it, submit the reports to the state, and then they electronically deposit the funds back into.
Right, my question is like, was that decreased in the budget?
No, we
Stayed the
lobbied pretty
same?
hard, and so far we're hearing that it's gonna hold steady. We don't think we're gonna get we lobbied for an increase because of the increase in, the inflation, the increase in all the costs. My budget stayed the same. $300,000 is what I pave roads with every year, and, that hasn't increased. This is my 7th year. And, this year we have $328,000 because I have a rollover of 28,000 from last year I didn't spend. So that's why the 284 has $328,000 and change in there. And, the bids just came out. That's why I was able to get you the 284. The bids just came out for blacktop, so it's running around $75 a ton if we buy it and put it down ourselves. So the other thing I want to mention is that we used to be in a shared services agreement with Town of Ulster and Town of Woodstock with our paver and our roller. Town of Ulster wanted to buy a new paver. It would have cost us $90,000 to buy in. I don't really have it in my budget. I know Woodstock didn't have it in their budget because its truck fleet is so old. So we're opting out of that with Town of Ulster. Luckily Ulster has 3 different districts that he deals with. He's got a lot bigger budget than we do. So I'm trying to purchase the old paver. It'll cost the dealer said it was going to be, it's worth about $10,000. So our share to pay Town of Ulster and Town of Woodstock would be about $3,300 each. And then we'd have that small paver and we'd be able to upgrade it and maintain it. So we're going to go down and pick that up probably tomorrow and bring it back to the shop and start working on it, upgrading whatever needs to be repaired. And then we'll be a little bit more mobile with our abilities to get out and do things that we have to do. One of the other things that I want to mention, we paved Cedar Street last year, and we had a company contract to pave it. It was quite a long street, and they milled it first. And I don't know what happened. I was not here at that time. I had the 2 foremen on the job, and the pavement's breaking up in the hill, so we got to go up. I had the contractor come back. We're going to dig it out, put some binder in there, and they're going to come back and repave it to fix that. They're pretty good about coming back, and it happened to us once before, many years ago. I think 2018 when we did Edgewood right off of Lucas Avenue. So a lot of these roads don't have a lot of base in them.
Right.
And if you get that clay starting to come up, like an example, Bristol Hill, we took that road over back in 2017, right before I took office, and that's breaking up bad, and we have to address that. So you can bet that the 284 that you adopt tonight will be amended. We're finding more and more things.
Mike, one final question for you. I think inquiring minds also want to know about the brush pickup schedule as we have that annual tradition approaching here.
That's posted on
Posted on the website, posted on Facebook.
Yeah,
and-
we
and it will be
gave it to Jeremy, he posted on the site, we have it up on our site. This year though, we're gonna be very strict on the sizes, because in the past, some people have taken advantage and they had tree service come in and they take down trees and they put yards and yards of brush alongside the road, and we just can't do that. We don't have the manpower and the crew. We have to take that brush back, and then eventually it has to get ground up. And those chips have to get taken down to the resource recovery as part of the deal when they grind the brush roast.
So for those that don't use the internet, what is the schedule?
Oh, boy. I think it's the last week of April.
If you want to wait, like I can pull it up here.
It's the last week of April is downtown, in Old Hurley, and the second week is in
Just
West
wait
Hurley.
around, hold it back, like I have it here.
Flip around.
I have it for you guys.
April 29th is West Charlie.
All right, so the 29th, 30th, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd will be West Hurley, and then the following week, which would be the 6th through the 10th, will be Old Hurley. And we ask everybody to get it out, and then it's pretty specific on how we want the brush put out there, because I think this year we're going to be chipping a lot of it, because we have a new chipper that we bought after the monster ice storm we had on February 4th in 2022. So we want to chip most of it so we don't have to grind it up later. So if everybody cooperates, puts the thick end of the brush out towards the road so we can grab it and throw it through the chipper, that would be a wonderful thing.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
I go, my voice is back. I want to thank you and the highway department. You were so responsive to the residents of town of Hurley, and from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you.
Thank you. We try to do our best. I mean, we went out, we went out 3 o'clock in the morning the other day to salt some of the areas, and next day we had a little bit of ice. So, but you know, they're plugging away.
Okay, now it's my turn, supervisor's report. The first thing I want to say is, where I live on Dug Hill Road, we've had so much tremendous ice storm going on, so many trees down. In my opinion, right now, this is all on state land. That's a recipe for disaster that's going to happen. You have all these down trees that are just laying there, and you get a fire. You know, that place is going to go up. And I know, I see it on Dug Hill Road. I drive around other parts of the town and see that also. I would like to comment to the state, the DEC, to come in there and start clearing up those pieces up there. I know that it's wild land, which means that you can't have any kind of exploitation and so forth. But this is a recipe for disaster. If we don't clean up those dead trees and get them out of there, we are going to have a major problem coming through. So I will be in touch with DEC tomorrow.
One of the things that happened was that blight that came through in the small pines. Yeah, it killed everything. I mean, there's areas where you couldn't see through the woods, and now all the pines are laying down. But I don't think the DEC, because it's that forever wild, I don't think they'll ever touch it.
Well, we're going to ask. You know, that's what it is. We don't have the financials for this month. We're still working on our books. We're getting it arranged. It's happening, coming through. So be patient. We'll have them shortly coming through. I do have some messages from Deputy Supervisor John Perry, who is also the secretary to the Recreation Department, has the following details. The powwow has tentatively been set for September 28th and 29th, and John Perry will be meeting with the coordinator to discuss further details. We have contacted the Hurley Rec program about summer programs and discussing options to include the town residents, waiting for them to get back to me, to him actually going through. But we are in the process of somehow trying to get our students, our children, to go to the rec, to the Hurley Rec. John Perry has spoken to all youth leagues about field use in spring through fall. And again, he's just waiting to organize it. If you look at the tennis courts, you notice we have a Grand Canyon happening there. We have a major crack inside there. We called in Craftco, who came in 2 years ago, and they actually filled a crack. The only problem is that's the only part of the court that's safe. Everything else around it is cracked. So we have to go, and we are talking about repairing that. We are also talking about putting in pickleball courts. at the town park. I know that a lot of tennis players don't like it, so we'll try to like a sound barrier between both courts.
Should we check for earthquake activity up there?
We also are looking for volunteers for our Memorial Day parade. We're also in the process of looking for a grand marshal. Usually what we do with the grand marshal, we go West Hurley one year, Old Hurley next year, and I think this time it's West Hurley's turn. So if you know of anybody, a veteran, we would like for how it works. If you know of any veterans on the West Hurley side, please contact the town and let us know. Okay. And also there are volunteers now coming up to sit on the recreation committee. I want to turn it over to Debbie.
Okay, yeah, that's better. So I just wanted to give you a brief update on the safety committee. I did put out a request for volunteers and have some names. Still would love to have some more names come in. There's still some more spots, so if anybody is interested or you know somebody that would be interested. Again, we're going to cover things like our emergency medical services in Hurley. We're going to cover roads, work with Eric. We're also going to look at our emergency management plan. So there's a bunch of things that this committee will be involved in. It'll take some time and some effort, but certainly looking for more volunteers if anybody knows anyone. I just give a brief update. We have already started, even though we don't have the safety committee in place. We've started looking at emergency medical services. We've been meeting with the fire districts. We have some of the firemen and as well as EMTs. And so far we've gathered a lot of information from them, the number of calls and the things they need and the challenges they face. We also met with Marbletown, who has already put in place a new solution to solve their issues, which are pretty much the same as ours. So we've gotten a lot of good information from them. We are going to meet next week with Olive, because Olive also has had the same challenges. So we're moving along as well on that. Road safety, we've talked a ton about that. I want to thank Mike for putting in the stop sign, not once, but twice across the road in the schoolhouse. So, yes.
If you notice, we put a 24-inch up the first time, the second time, we put a 36-inch up.
Okay.
We hope we see it better. And we electrify.
I think it wasn't up 2 weeks and somebody literally unbolted it and took it.
Camper stuff on it, so they get that over.
Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, $200 to put the first sign in, and another $200 to replace it, which is, yeah. Educating. Okay, and then one more thing, the emergency management plan. I'm actually in contact with Michael Madison. I hope I said that's right. Madsen, in the Ulster County Emergency Management. He's a deputy director of the emergency management for Ulster County, and get him to, we're going to look for him for advice and advisory as we look at our own plan. So moving forward, as soon as I get the safety committee in place, hopefully we'll move forward faster.
And we did meet with them for the last year and a half or so to put together an emergency plan.
Okay.
So he should have something there.
Yep, I should be meeting with him hopefully in the next week or so.
I gotta tell you something. I always cringe when the alarms go off and the ambulances don't go off. And that's kind of scary, the fact that we don't have that responsibility. We rely on Marbletown, we rely on Olive, we rely on Kingston and Woodstock.
Yeah, let me just bring it up. So just a comment on that. So one of the things I meant to say that I didn't say is that I have become aware that a lot of people don't realize that our fire districts, the firefighters as well as EMTs, all volunteers. So these people go out day and night, all hours of the day and night, and come out to help us. Unfortunately, over the last 10 years, we've seen a steady decline, and we are really at an all-time low right now. And that is the problem. And so
at some point, we're probably gonna have to look at having a paid service. That's what everyone around us has done. All the towns around us have done the same thing. So, that's what we're working on aggressively. It is definitely I actually attended Steve Noble hosted a film. It's called Honorable but Broken EMS in Crisis. And it was a woman who, her whole family is basically, they're all first responders. It was wonderful. I don't know if you were there, Eric. It was really a great showing, but it highlighted all these issues and the fact that EMTs, same thing, low pay. They go out all hours of the day and night. They get no downtime, so the mental stress even of the things they've seen, very fatigued from COVID. So, a lot of them dropped out after COVID. They just, couldn't continue and went into a different line of work. So those are the challenges that we're facing. So we're gonna get on it.
Thank you, Debbie. All right, we're now up to the resolutions. Tim, would you want to read the first resolution on the?
Absolutely. All right, here we go. First up is a resolution to dedicate County Road 5, Hurley Mountain Road, a Gold Star Family Memorial Highway. Whereas a gold star symbolizes the family member who died in the line of duty while serving in the armed forces, and whereas the members and veterans of the armed forces, through their service, bear the burden of protecting the freedom of the people of the United States, and whereas the sacrifices of the families of the fallen members of the armed services and the families of veterans should never be forgotten, therefore it be it resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to dedicate County Road 5, Hurley Mountain Road, a Gold Star Family Memorial Highway, and agree to have a sign stating Ulster County Gold Star Family Memorial Highway.
Is there a second? Any discussion? We have some members of the armed forces veterans here that were invited to come. We have Mark, who is going to be dedicating the award. We also have Mitch Cohen here, and we have Carl Brockner here, also veterans here. Are there any other veterans here? Joe is another veteran here. We want to thank all of you who are served this country. We're proud of all of you.
I want to thank you, Mark Cosapoli, Director of Veteran Services for the county. So appreciate you considering this and looking forward to the vote.
Mitch?
So I'm 32 years active duty, retired. I landed here in Hurley, been here 9 years. And what you're seeing up here on the screen is Hurley's Medal of Honor recipient, okay, from the Civil War. He captured Confederate flag, okay, and it was either Abraham Lincoln or Andrew Johnson who presented him with the Medal of Honor. This is right along, his body lays right along Zandhook Road, okay, and I was actually speaking with Carl Bruckner, and I'd like to just say to the town, you may want to think about rededicating Zandhook Road and making it Corporal Kaus or August Kaus Road, because he did the ultimate sacrifice. And Hurley, as you know, was, or I should say, New Paltz and Ulster was part of Hurley. So whatever they have was part of Hurley during that time frame. But this corporal received a Medal of Honor from the president. I think there's only like 250,000 Medal of Honors in the history of the United States. So just a food for thought, and I'd like to assist however possible, but not sure how to go about doing it. But I think that he's been there long time now. So, thank you.
Carl?
No, I don't have too much to say. I agree with Mitch, and I got my honorable discharge, and we should take care of the veterans.
Let's do so, yes, of course. Okay, any further discussion from the board? All right, let's put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So be it. Mark, I have a question to ask you.
Yes, sir.
When is the dedication gonna be? Is there a date for that yet?
Well, there's some steps that we have to go through. Now that I have the buy-in from the town, I'm gonna bring a resolution forward to our legislature. They have to vote on that. We're looking probably sometime in the summer, but there's also, it's potentially gonna be in September. And pushing it back because September 20th is a Gold Star Mother National Day. So we might do it around then. I really have to wait. We have to see where things go. This was step one. I'm just happy to get this approved and they're moving forward from here. So thank you,
Mark. Okay, our next resolution is to accept the 2022 annual update document, which is called the AUD. Whereas the annual update document, which is also known as the AFR for 2022, is required and has been submitted to the New York State Controller's Office, be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to accept the AUD for 2022. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this the one that, was this the one that was due? March,
No, this is the one that was due last year, around March 30th.
2023.
Right, and it was submitted sometime, I believe, end of May, beginning of June. There was an extension put on it,
Okay, so then why do we need to accept it?
because we didn't do it the first time.
Okay, so these are, we developed this for this folks?
No, this has already been developed. It was never presented to the board for approval.
This was circulated to the board via email prior to the meeting for review.
Yes.
Is that the question that you're asking now?
Yes. No, it's a resolution. No, I just wanted the resolution, but. I don't know if you were.
We have, no, we have
This
not.
is largely procedural that we need to accept this document as it was submitted.
And probably sometime soon, we'll have the AUD for 2023. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? So be it.
Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to provide committee volunteers for transfer station permits. Whereas members of the town boards and town committee volunteers, they volunteer their time in support of town business and provide a valuable service to the community. Therefore, be it resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley that at the end of each year of active service, beginning in the year 2024, the town will provide each volunteer member of a town board and town committee with a transfer station pass for the following year. Transfer station passes will be distributed the first week in January.
I'll second.
Thank you, Diane. Any discussion? Okay. Take it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so be it. Thank you.
Okay, Tim, you want to do the next one?
Resolution to disable commenting on the town's Facebook page. Whereas the town's social media accounts are for the purpose of government communication. Whereas comments on the town's social media can potentially incur liability for the town, and whereas the town can incur liability by commenting on posts on social media in an official capacity. Therefore, be it resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley that the community relations specialist be directed to disable comments on the town's social media page and refrain from commenting on any posts.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Yeah, so this actually I attended sessions in New York City with the New York Association of Towns. And this actually came out of a session down there that recommends that towns do this, as we can incur the liability of the comments. And as you can see, as many people have seen, people can be a lot less than decent in these social media forums. When the town actually creates a post, that is an official government communication, okay, that's subject to FOIL. So removing or deleting or hiding comments, okay, is technically censorship of free speech. Okay, so we're actually protecting free speech by disabling the comments, because there are many other forums, such as emailing the town board as a whole, calling town hall, coming to a public comment period. There's many other forums, and Facebook, it tends to be where people take a lot of pot shots. I know that the city of Kingston has done this both on the police department page and also their, and I think we're at the beginning of seeing a lot of municipalities move in this direction, and also their city page. Yes, there are a lot of entities that have not disabled the comments. However, there's definitely plenty of other public forums available. And just like our website is an informational tool, so should our social media, rather than being a public forum to take pot shots at each other.
Mike, I would like an opportunity to say one thing if I could. That's fine. I said my piece.
My opinion, I'm against this resolution. I think it is a form of censorship. I have spoken to Jeremy, and it was decided that if he has to make a comment or to clarify something on a post, he will talk to me about it and get my approval, more or less, and go from there. I think this is a necessary thing for us to hear comments from the people on this Facebook page. If it gets to the point where it gets outrageous, where the comments are really felonious in a sense, then we should stop it. I don't believe what people write on our Facebook page is libelous to us. Maybe what we write back can be, but I don't think your comments to us, we are held liable from that point. And I think the fact that I like the comments, to be honest with you. I like hearing what you have to say, because a lot of times it's very difficult for you to come to town hall, write an email. Facebook is right in your living room, more or less.
One question to ask. Tim, is there a policy when you're doing your research or when you're in the city and you're talking to people? Do towns have policies in relationship to their social media? And how is that related specifically to what you're proposing here?
Yes, there's definitely, and I believe our town has adopted a social media policy.
Is that social media policy consistent or inconsistent with other social media policies that you've seen?
It looks fairly consistent with others.
Does it include, I'm asking this question because for clarity's sake, does it include direct line of reporting when individuals, communications persons, whoever are to make reports?
Some do. Jeremy, does ours have a direct line of reporting?
You're asking about what, social media policy?
Yes.
The social media policy for the town deals primarily with town employees not using their personal accounts to discuss town issues. It does not really deal with how the town comments, because the town is the town and can do what it sees as fit. So as Mike and I discussed this afternoon, if the overarching issue in your mind is worry about what the town comments on as the town, we could certainly set a protocol for that, which starts with Michael and I speaking ahead of time before the town, me or anybody, would post anything in somebody else's thread. For the record, by the way, I've only done it, I think, once. The only other thing I've done is if somebody in our comment threads asks a simple yes or no question, like, or when is the meeting question, I'll answer that. It's not a place for opinion or position.
Well, and so that's what, there's two types of government, as it's been laid out, there's two types of government social media pages. Government information and communication, right? Which, Jeremy, you've stated that you've largely stuck to that, or pretty much completely stuck to sticking to the plain just communicating information.
Absolutely.
Rather than it being a forum, because realistically the town doesn't have an opinion, okay? The town, unless this body forms an opinion.
No,
okay?
Right, and
So
I
that's
would
why-
never state my opinion as the town's,
Right.
of course not.
So that's why I seek to limit the town's ability to comment. And then as far as, the comments, I just really don't want somebody's like 14-year-old to think, oh, I'm checking the town website, you know, for this type of information, and there's somebody having a diatribe in the comments.
May I respond to that? No, that's a fair thing. What you've got here is a solution in search of a problem. And what I mean by that is not to insult you, but to tell you that as the administrator of the Hurley Facebook page, I can tell you comments are few and far between. We get a lot of likes, we get a lot of shares, we get a lot of views, which are numbers that only the administrator can see, but we get very few comments. And I gotta tell you, Tim, in the 15 months I've been doing this, I have run into exactly one comment, that I deemed so offensive that it needed to be removed. Not because it was necessarily libelous or slanderous, it was vulgar and it just needed to go. And that's part of the reason you have me here, is to monitor, for lack of a better word, to police this page.
Right.
And to make sure we don't get into that.
The thing is, like, the censorship of the page, right, actually brings us into more questions of the First Amendment than actually turning the comments completely off this, okay? Because we're applying that equally to all of the citizens, whereas we're deciding to limit the speech of one if they make some sort of a vulgar or inappropriate comment on the page. So to keep it the same type of a communication as a website, that's why, and I knew this would be a contentious thing, and I, you know, like when I went to the meetings in the city, I was very interested in this because it was just, I had seen Kingston had just done it. So I was very interested in why this was doing it, and it's the old adage of an ounce of prevention is worth, what's it, a pound of cure, and so I don't want us to end up needing a pound of cure.
Look, Kingston is the outlier. I'm not sure what their thinking was, because I haven't spoken to anybody there. But every major city in New York State, Albany, Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, etc., allow comments on their public Facebook pages. The state of New York, all of its departments, the governor's office, state corrections, state police, the bar association, which you certainly think would be very wary of legal matters, all allow commenting on their Facebook.
And
Jeremy, do they?
Jeremy, I'm more interested in understanding why it's very important based on this motion. I'm trying to understand why this motion has been set in motion at the conference that you were at, because there's clearly something else going on that I don't know if anybody else on the board knows, but I'm at a loss here. Why it is that
I'm assuming some lawyer, correct me if I'm wrong, advised better to protect than to be in trouble. But meanwhile, virtually every municipality in New York State,
So, no, I
from the
get
smallest villages to the largest cities.
No, I get that. I
And
get that. So,
this came out at a conference, you know, what was it, in February, so a little, was
so
it?
what was it? So just explain to me again, Tim, what was the rationale behind this move?
The ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
And that's
So
what
if
we
somebody,
do.
correct, because if somebody posts something, okay, that we then want to either delete or hide, okay, then we are actually in turn limiting just their free speech, okay? In such a way that they may actually then turn around and sue us.
Could I point out that even under the Constitution, free speech always has limitations? There is nothing in the United States Constitution that's absolute, and free speech is certainly not absolute. There have always been exceptions to free speech.
I know it's good to hear our town attorney's opinion on
You want to hear my opinion? My opinion is that this is a more novel issue and probably warrants maybe tabling this motion so that we can, the board can consider all the things rather than rushing into legislation.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, because I'm a little uncertain about the word I want to use, etiology, how this came into being and why it's so important for us to not that I don't misunderstand what you're saying, but I prefer to hear a little bit more of the background, because it's a significant move that, based on what Jeremy is saying and what I know, I mean, the Facebook page is all over the place. Every government department, every town has Facebook pages. The question is, if there is a plan to censor, disable comments, there must be a rationale why, and a very, very good one.
Exactly, to prevent censorship.
And there is no uniformity. And by the way, I would ask, and Matt, I'm interested to hear your take on this, to turn this around, Tim, is turning off commenting also impeding people's free speech?
But it's
You're
applied-
stopping them from talking.
Because it's a
All right,
five.
yeah, let's see.
Table.
I make a motion
I'm
to
the- I like
table
the
this.
table. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All in favor?
You're gonna take it. Thank you. The next resolution is a resolution to approve postage expenditure for the survey on the town comprehensive plan. Whereas the town approved the creation of a survey postcard mailed to all homeowners of record within town, therefore be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to approve the expenditure of mailing survey via postcard for, we don't know how much money yet it is. All right, but we'll
We're
get
gonna
that.
have two different, we'll have the postcard to go locally, and then we're going to have the postage, which is a little extra, to go to landowners who are out here.
I need that number.
Well, I'm gonna work with Tracy.
So, Joe, do you have any kind of ballpark figure on how much this is gonna cost?
I can tell you that, when I just did a non-for-profit mailing for 350 people, it's $55. They're talking about 3,500. So my guess is it'll be about $550. But then the ones that are individual are postcards are 48 cents, I think. So if there were 100 of them, that would be $48. 200 people, $100.
So you're talking about
Less than
less than
$1,000.
$1,000.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So be it.
The next one is a resolution to approve job descriptions for the secretary to the planning board and the secretary to the zoning board of appeals. Whereas the positions of secretary to the planning board, civil service 5830, and secretary to the zoning board of appeals, civil service 5900, are exempt within the Ulster County civil service system, and therefore do not have set job descriptions as set by the county. And whereas each job description, each job position within the town should have an established job description. Therefore, be it resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to approve the descriptions for the secretary to the planning board and secretary to the zoning board of appeals.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Now that you've included the issue of confidentiality, I'm very happy. I think I was also.
Okay, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so be it.
I just want to make a public service announcement. We are rescheduling our meeting in April 23rd, town board meeting. It is the second day of Passover, and so we are going to move it. Well, we don't know where we're going to move it.
24th.
It could be the 24th, which is the Wednesday.
There was a proposal to both of us meet in the middle and you guys, so either the planning board or you.
Wait, I don't understand. Let's not deal with this here. Let's finish this.
It's a new business.
Yeah, that's a new business item. Is it not?
Hold that thought, Maggie.
Yeah.
The next resolution to designate a stormwater management officer. Whereas the town of Hurley is an MS4 community, and whereas the town of Hurley currently has a vacant designated stormwater management officer or SMO position, therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to designate current building department employee Harold Castellano as the stormwater management officer as required in the town of Hurley Municipal Code 168-4B to manage the MS4 program for up to 20 hours per week effective immediately.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Any discussion?
Can you just tell me what line item is gonna come off the budget?
It's already part of his, it'll just be part of what he's already allocated.
So it's
No
extended.
extra out, yeah, no extra.
Yeah.
Right. It's just really
It's a designation.
Yes.
We're just laughing because we don't know where the money's coming from.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so be it.
Would you like to go through this now or? Because I see I have a comment period at the end about this. The specific.
Yeah, the zero
topic.
waste.
So unless I'm misunderstanding.
No, the public comment is passed.
No, it's not public comment. We don't hold it.
Oh, yeah.
So the question I have, do you want to do this now or do you want to do it on the whole business or do you want to get it done now with comments from old business?
Sure.
Okay, I'll read the resolution and then we'll get. Town of Hurley resolution authorizing professional service agreement, zero waste. Whereas the town of Hurley is a New York State designated climate smart community and is committed to preserving and protecting our natural environment. And whereas the town of Hurley issued a draft request for qualifications, draft RFQ in accordance with the provisions of section 120 W of the General Municipal Law dated July 7th, 2023, inviting interested respondents to submit proposals for a zero waste solid waste management system, ZWS, during said period. And whereas the town of Hurley only received a single proposal for Greenway from Greenway Environmental Services of 205 Hertz Road, Clintondale, New York, 12515, in response to the RFP after the required 60-day comment period. And whereas on October the 17th, 2023, the town board adopted a resolution authorizing and directing the town supervisor to execute an agreement with the sole proposer, Greenway Environmental Services, the contractor for development and operation of a zero waste solid waste system in the town, the October 17th draft agreement. And whereas a revised form of agreement for services with the contractor has been prepared and presented to this board, a copy of which is on file with the town clerk, the agreement. And whereas it would be in the best interest of the town to engage a contractor and proceed with the agreement, now therefore be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley as follows. One, the town supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to execute the agreement in substantially the form on file with the town clerk, with such changes as shall be approved by such officer and which do not affect the substance thereof. Two, the town supervisor, the town clerk, and the town's other officers, employees, and agents are hereby authorized and directed in the name and on behalf of the town to do all acts and things required or provided by the provisions of the agreement. And three, this resolution shall take effect immediately. That's a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Any discussion?
I have a question to ask, and, there are a couple of regulations that have to be followed, that the DEC must do. And I would like to add that into as an amendment, that they must follow DEC regulations. They have to be approved by the DEC. And the other qualification that I would amendment to this thing, that the DEC also has to give a modification, which means that they have to give us approval to have the food waste collected there. I know that the regulation says that you can only stay at the transfer station for 5 days, and then it must be carted away. So I'd like to see that going through. I have a call into Ian McCall at the DEC, who's in charge of modifications, and we're still playing phone tag here, but I understand that he has to come down and look at the transfer station, look at the site where it should be done, and map out exactly. So I would approve of this under those two amendments being added, DEC regulation and also modification.
So just that the contract does make it subject to DEC regulation, but you may want to add just that that you're passing it subject to approval by the DEC, so that the DEC just okays and says, you know, everything. But the actual contract itself does make the work that is conducted there subject to DEC regulation.
I just have a comment to ask Shabazz, and that is with the DEC regulation and the modification, Is that something that we, the town, have to do, or is that something that you do to get people?
The way the contract is written, that is what we do. And what the contract does is it authorizes us to do that. So, the structure of the contract brings us to the board on a monthly basis. And, what we will do is we will bring to the board the paperwork that will go to the DEC. So we will deal with Region 3, and then we will deal also, we have to also deal with Superfund in the process. So as our core group of people, we have an engineer on staff that helps us with that.
All right, but you have to understand, to get my approval as a board member here, it has to be contingent on DEC approval and regulation, as well as the modification.
All of the operations of the transfer station have to be approved by the DEC, and the board has to approve it before it goes to the DEC. So there's no opportunity to have us do something that doesn't go through the board first. And the cost of doing that is included in the contract. So we took the Region 3, we took the Superfund, and we put in the upgrade plans, which are all go together, and all that comes here first.
Okay, I understand there's a grant for $20,000 at the very start. So we can get the money we put in right away back to us. I understand, talking to Gregory, there is millions of dollars out there in grants also that you will help us to initiate and get started.
Well, as part of the startup, we're going to do the state grant application. And then once one is done, we'll be able to file for all of the monies that are available. Currently, there are 4 grants available. Currently, there are 3 grants available, and there's one more, the Environmental Protection Fund, which will be coming out soon. But there's New York State has made a commitment to reduce the amount of food waste going to the landfill. And they have put the Environmental Bond Act money, they've made that available to get that done. So the grants, Hurley, because of their climate smart designation as bronze, are in the running for that money.
Now, I understand, like, we are the first municipality in Ulster County to go through zero waste.
Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say, so therefore, if we're the only municipality going through this, and there's a grant for a startup, we should get that then, right?
Well,
I know that.
There's no guarantees, but we have most of the grant application, if you think about it, in the contract, the narration and the budget is pretty much done. So all we need to do is put together the supporting documentation, and then we're ready to go for those initial grants.
Gregory?
Yeah, so I have just, okay. So I have a couple of questions. So there are concerns about the way in which this request was submitted, right? There's some concerns, and what I'm trying to ascertain, not only from you, Shabazz, but also from the board, is as far as I know, from the history dating back to June, actually before that, when the then town board made a decision to move forward with, or to at least investigate your company, start looking at what we do. My question really is, what steps have been taken in terms of the proposal to ensure that the proposal is free and clear? I think that's the best way I can put it. In other words, that as the proposal was submitted, that there was not any kind of collusion or there's any kind of misunderstanding about how this proposal came into being.
Gregory, you're trying to say it wasn't tailored to a specific
That's
company?
exactly what I'm trying to say, because there are concerns that the way it was written, it seems like it was tailored to Greenway. And from my experience and my working with this project, that's the furthest thing from the truth. So unless there's something else that I don't know, which is why I'm asking you, because maybe you had discussions with other town board members at that time, I'm trying to seek clarification to help my colleagues understand the process that went through. And the last thing that I will say about this is that in order for us to get to where we are with this particular proposal and this particular RFQ, it took a horrendous amount of legal costs to the town. Legal, not in terms of litigation, but in terms of making sure that as the first town doing this, we had to do it right. And I think all of those issues we've complied with. So that's my question and my comment. And hopefully you can respond to that.
The Greenway is the only zero waste company in the whole country. And we've been, between Josephine and I, we've been doing this, for 75 years. And when you start to look at experience, like experience is a requirement in all contracts. We had to submit a plan that had been executed. No one else is in a position to do that. That's why we were sole source. But we submitted a plan that had been executed that brought us to 90% recovery. That's a requirement of the contract. That is what zero waste means. Now, the insurance, the contract required, and in some ways, when you think about it, there's liability. There's liability on your side, there's responsibility and liability on our side. We have to have a comprehensive insurance policy, which the town becomes additionally insured for $2 million professional liability, $2 million product liability. And many of you who have taken the tours, you've seen our odor control blend, you see our rapid decomposition medium, you see the things that allow people to control the organics, which is the first part of developing zero waste. We've had that policy for 35 years, and trying to get that policy today at I mean, it's expensive, but at any cost, it's very, very difficult. So when you start to look at the liability, we are a for-profit company, but what we've done is to completely eliminate the risk to the municipality. So the way the project is structured, we put out all the money, and then we complete the projects. We have what's called deliverables in the contract. We bring those to the board, and with that comes the invoice. Now, the contract, what the lawyers did, your lawyers, they made a not to exceed number on the contract. So when you're doing something for the first time and there's no information available, like how much material did you take in last year? How much of that was organics? No one knows the answer to those questions. So when you're doing something for the first time and you put a not to exceed number, which we accepted, not to exceed, that means that no matter how long it takes for us to get that information, and we can't design the project without that information, there's no way for us to recoup that. So all of those things together is why we are sole source. But the reason why we do it is because Josephine and I are going to do this project ourselves.
I think Matt was.
Greg, to answer your question, so I have reviewed the contract in its entirety, and there definitely are adequate protections for the town, and most particularly, I think, answering your question, there are protections pertaining to ethics and being in compliance with state and local ethics codes and conflicts of interest, and protecting against, should there be some sort of conflict of interest, other protections for the town if that event arises or information comes to town.
I recently received this document tonight, that there was another company that submitted an application in response to this RFQ.
Yes,
When did this occur?
that I can't tell you because it was done in the past administration.
Which administration?
Past Melinda.
Well,
I know the only reason why
there is no possibility, Mike, that this document that you have given could have come to this board, the previous board, and I had never seen this.
Well, the thing is,
how is this possible?
I don't.
But did somebody just,
What?
The reason why I ask, because Matt has made a very, very clear statement about ethics and legal liability. And so if anybody had this and kept this from the board, they would become very much liable.
All I'm saying,
There's one more point I want to make about this particular document. It says this is a company, community compost company. I have a question to ask you, Mr. Jackson. Is there a difference between composting and zero waste?
Well, composting is a component of zero waste. And Greenway started with composting because once you remove the organics, then you have all of the options for the rest of the waste. And then once you remove the organics, all the organics, you take the weight out of the whole volume of materials. But as you know, our permits allow us to take in more than organic material. So we have a beneficial use determination to take in other materials. And those materials, once you remove the organics from them, and once you get the people kind of in tune to the additional separation, we add those materials and we recover those materials. So in the end, that's how we get to the 90% recovery. Now, Community Compost is a composting company that we help start Community Compost. And when Community Compost has problems, gets flooded, we take in all of their material. And when Community Compost was building their facility out in Cohasset, they are a collection company. We took in all of their material at no cost to them for nearly a year. So we believe in compost. And if their proposal came in on time, and their proposal is looking at the entire waste stream, you know, we're not opposed to it being considered. But when you look at what we offer to the town, and we believe that we are a competitive company with anyone, and the entire system that we offer to the town is a zero waste system with a goal of 90% recovery. And you know, that's what we stand behind.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know where the board is going, but I would like to throw out something that you might consider as an alternative at the moment. Because of what we're in the middle of and that we can't answer some of your questions in terms of the finances at the moment. Is it possible for you to segment this contract so that you are really entering into a personal service agreement right now with Shabazz to get through the approval of the DEC and then entertain the balance of the contract?
So,
on that.
so Matt, you could speak to this, but this contract is executed over 90 days. Right? And if in that 90-day period, they don't provide the necessary certifications and the various other deliverables, this contract doesn't move forward with that. So, I mean, we're talking about a 90-day period.
But if we get to the end of the 90 days and we don't have the grant money and we don't have.
Shabazz, the initial $20,000, is that all returnable to the town with the grant? Or I thought that was, half of that was not returnable at all. That would be an expense the town would bear no matter what.
The basic structure is that the town is going to invest, and we think of it as an investment. The town is going to invest the $20,000. And for the $20,000, you're going to get all of the deliverables in basically 5 different areas. So one is the grant proposal. One is the research to get basic accounting on what's going on. One is the engineering that deals with the Resource Recovery Agency, New York State, and Region 3. And then one area is the pilot project that is going to start to remove organics from the waste stream. So with those 5 areas, what we will have is we will have a really hands-on understanding of what zero waste is and how it works in Hurley. Because every single place is different, but how it's going to work here with us is what you will have a good understanding of. And then at that point, there is what's in the contract called the commencement. And at that point, we're going to submit all of the information, and then you're going to be able to see basically how it works, how our products work. You're going to have hands-on knowledge of it. And then at that point, we're going to submit a budget and a plan to carry this from the pilot project to a full program. And at that point, you'll have a good understanding of the monies that are actually available. So, so the way the contract is written, you would be able to end, if we don't deliver, you will be able to end the contract by simply not commencing the 3-year with 2 renewals time limit. And you could put it out to bid again. You could, stop doing it. You could go with another company.
That's a $20,000 cost to the town.
Well, it's a $20,000 cost, but there are grants, but you know how grants work. The way they work is that you can't easily get money for work that's been done. But what you can get money for, and what you'll be in a position to get money for, is to roll this out as a complete program to the town. And you will know where that money is coming from. So you're basically starting with nothing. And everything that comes out of this town is going to Seneca Meadows land. And you're going to go from that to having a pilot project that people can come and say, I tried it and it works.
So the reason I bring that up is I've got a moratorium for a budget freeze until we get the finances figured out. The other thing is, and then Joan mentions putting it on her postcard. I know you already don't know what our residents even are considering. So her postcard is going out imminently. It's not 6 months from now. They're gonna have it ready soon. If she puts it out, that will be good information for you to maybe save you some steps. So I'm saying, let's put this off till April, see if our finances are in line, and then the budget freeze would come off.
So I wanted to start 1 minute short. I'd like to, there's one thing I'd like to just add. 2 months ago, county legislator came here and spoke about this project and also made a comment. Manager Green made a comment about finding ways through the legislature to help to finance a portion of this project. Right?
I don't recall that.
Oh, yeah.
I know you said you was grateful.
So
Love to have it.
I would like to suggest that if we're talking about fiscal responsibility comes in different ways. If you're saying that we don't have money in the budget to do this, my conversations with both the supervisor and with John Curry suggest that this can be done.
I think another point to
Can
it,
I ask my question?
Sorry, I'm sorry. I apologize.
I've been waiting for a while.
Sorry
So some of my questions that I have, so this looks like something that would have been subject to secret review. Has that been completed on this project? State Environmental Quality Review Act, I don't see anything about, the type of action that it is and that sort of a thing
it's,
in the resolution.
it doesn't need secret review because the transfer station is already submitted. It already went through that.
Okay.
So, just to go back a point, though,
Okay.
I'm gonna just make this one point, it's only a couple of sentences. The way the contract is written, we're going to finance this ourselves. And then, when we come up with the deliverables mainly at the end of the 90 days, then we're gonna invoice. So we're gonna be in a position to get our money back maybe 120 days from now. So
Right,
if you
I
were to-
understand. I mean, that's the nature of business, whether it's 30 days or 60 days. Right. Or to have a contract.
that's not the nature of most businesses.
I mean,
To have
commercial and
a
wholesale would be
situation,
that
that's
way.
what your lawyers worked out, but that is not the nature of most businesses. Most businesses do not front.
Should they? Wholesale capacity. Yeah, every single vendor to this town fronts some money for at least 30 days.
This is not a 30-day.
Well,
This is 120 days minimum.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then, so I also see, like, my real question about this whole proposal and is that, I've spoken with Charlie Whitaker at UCRA. And, Charlie seems to believe that using the resources that are already available from UCRA, we can do something similar, at a very, like no $20,000 outlay. And they're hauling food scraps they're taking food scraps at $20 a ton versus $40 a ton. We would need to haul them over to UCRA ourselves. So I guess, why are we asking that when we can do food scrap diversion? And Charlie's also claimed that they will offer training to the residents of the town. So, and they have somebody on staff that produces, those types of material, various materials that we distribute through the mail and various sources. I guess my question is why we're spending $20,000 on something that is, like we've signed up, we're part of Ulster County, we're signed up with UCRA, like why we're not sticking with the UCRA solution. And, UCRA, I mean, that's our waste agency, and, I don't understand why we're going to deviate from that. And there's what in this has been done in regards to the flow law that exists here in Ulster County, because we've got, a law that says that all the MSW, do we have permission from Mark or from Charlie, or whoever, I believe it's Mark, would have to give us that approval and the upper board potentially to deviate from the flow law with our municipal solid waste. Has that been obtained?
Food waste is not under the flow law.
And recycling is not
I
under
mean,
the
if
flow.
Charlie told me it was MSW.
It's not.
Once it's removed, it's
Yeah,
not.
once it's separated, it becomes a source separated organics. And it's classified the same as, say, corrugated or aluminum cans. So any recyclables are not underneath the flow law. But to get to the heart of your question, the Resource Recovery Agency could have responded to the proposal. And the proposal called for a system that recovers 90% of your waste stream. So our system starts with organics because organics is the biggest section. But we look at the entire waste stream, and we have to work directly with the Resource Recovery Agency in order to achieve zero waste. So, for example, if the Resource Recovery Agency will take the mixed waste stream that we will be collecting here. We will send it to the Resource Recovery Agency. And then the way the contract is written, that $20 cost will be what the town of Hurley pays. So we're not directly after that mixed waste stream, but it's that mixed waste stream that we are in a position to manage because we currently manage it from the colleges and from the hospitality industry. So just to finish the point, if the Resource Recovery Agency says that we're going to manage this waste stream now, we will send it to them and you will pay the $20. But that is just the start of this. You know, we're going to present to you what your waste stream is and how we plan to get to 90% recovery. And we have submitted plans that show where we did it in other places. So that's the Greenway and the Resource Recovery Agency have to work hand in hand to achieve it. And I know Charlie Whitaker, and I've known him for many years. I know the composting that they do over at Upper. And I know the restrictions that they're under from the DEC. So we have never wanted to compete with them, but we do compete with them when it comes to service.
May I ask a question? All right, now, this is taking on a different scope. It was only supposed to be food waste, am I correct? And that's what you're beginning. Now he's suggesting about other waste that he's going to be taking out eventually.
No, that was in response to Tim's suggestion. That was.
So it's only food waste? Or
Organics.
are you intending to handle the whole transfer station 10 years from now, or 5 years from now, or 4 years from now? Because you're saying that you're taking also solid waste from other facilities?
I didn't say that.
Well, what am I misunderstanding?
Yeah,
I think
misunderstanding.
you're, it's the 90%.
The 90%.
What we're gonna-
90% of what comes into our transfer station, or
No,
90% just food waste?
Yes.
90% of food waste? Or
No.
You're talking about 90% of the waste stream, the
No.
total
Waste
waste
stream.
stream.
That's what.
So how
So it's a takeover basically of a municipal facility. am I
no,
correct?
no.
No?
We operate it on a 3-year contract. We set up the startup and, you know, figure it out and make our proposal and do our pilot, focus on food waste.
Yeah, because what I
So
saw
at
at your
the-
facility was the food waste. I didn't see any other stuff there.
Well, you didn't see everything. But for example, we take all of the waste from Central Hudson. And you didn't see that at all
Okay.
because we process it. It can't sit around.
Okay, but the thing is that, so your intent is not just food waste, and the town has to understand that then it's going to progress to other things. Am I correct? Am I incorrect?
Can I say something? When you separate out all that food waste,
Right.
all the other piece parts become much more recoverable. They'll still be recovered the same way they are today. Those cans and bottles will go the same way they are. That corrugated is gonna go exactly the same way. But it makes it more recoverable. You know how wet garbage is.
Yeah, but people normally, when they go to the transfer station,
Yeah.
okay, they separate out this stuff.
Exactly.
So are you gonna haul that away for us then?
No.
No? Okay.
No, that's still gonna go to the resource recovery.
So that goes. to the-
And that's why I say that it's
Okay.
really a partnership with the resource recovery agency. And that's why I can say that if they change what they can take in to include this mix, we will send it to the resource recovery agency. We're not in competition for them. But you have to realize that only 2% of the waste stream, of the organic waste stream is getting recovered and composted. And that's the challenge for us, right? Is to remove that. And that's why we focus in on it.
Still, I think you still need to do, to understand how many people are really confusing, and then do your cost evaluation. I think that's where it has to go. Do the studies to say if 70 people, young people going to use it, is it viable to use this type of service or something else?
No,
But I won't say anything else.
And, given the financial situation that the town is in, I just don't see it prudent to approve, this type of expense until we have, line item financial information available. So.
John Perry said he found the money in the line item.
Okay, well, absent of him being here.
On the budget here. Go ahead, please. I want to hear.
I'm not stating any objection at all about this project. I compost.
I love this.
I do it regularly. I think our biggest error is that we don't allow just the sorting of clean plastic. Because when we sort clean plastic, I reduced my waste by almost 75% when Marbletown was taking back the plastic bags and turning them into benches, but we don't have an answer. It is impossible for John Perry to make any statements because at this point, it has nothing to do with whether or not he's here. We have spent, Wendy has spent so far a month digging as deeply as we can, and I will tell you, I don't know why I'm sitting here. I would be running out the door if I was a smart human being, and I didn't care about the town. I'm here for a reason. I am not suggesting that you not move forward with this. I was suggesting that maybe you take it in incremental steps because then we can, move forward, but you're not committing the town to the full 20, because you need that first phase anyway. And also, to be absolutely honest, at the moment, based on what we are addressing in between the bookkeeping and the clerk's office, it's impossible for me to take another task on. So I know that I would have to work in terms of the grant application, and maybe not very extensively, but right now we are so overtaxed that I can't ask you other than to say, please don't add something else onto our plate for a little while. We should be, we're really getting pretty far into all of this, but understand that we are maxed right now. And I think that that's the best way that I can phrase it without saying anything else or running out the door.
So I know, Mike, I know we don't need to belabor this anymore, really. I mean, Mike, I just suggest that Matthew, the contract that we have that's on the table, the proposal, is it possible to make some amendments in terms of the timeline of its execution?
I imagine it's up to them, but it is already segmented into the two parts. The one is basically the preparation phase in which they're collecting the data, they're getting the reports, they're getting a planning order, and that's primarily, what the contract is. If that phase completes, at that point, there's the commencement phase in which, the town, with or without cause, we decide, it's not working or it's not fiscally worth it, then the town can cease doing business. I don't know how much more you can segment it. It seems like, but it really would be up to the company to basically, make that, and I'm sure we could adjust the contract accordingly, but it sounds like, that's pretty much what they've done with the contract already.
Yes. Can I call vote?
Yes.
All in favor of this, a roll call?
Was there a motion?
Yeah.
There is a motion on the table, yeah, so, and a second. Debbie seconded. So. You want me to?
I wanted to table it until we got the financial stuff.
Yeah, but I'm asking for a vote. I'm asking for a vote. So.
Well, there is a vote to table also if you wanted to.
Well, let's make that the name of the motion.
We already have this motion.
We have to declare.
Right.
Okay, so.
Yeah, we can do it after.
So.
Or you could ask them whether they should break it into a segment.
Well, he already did it.
Yeah.
That's all right.
We could.
Well, but the segment is, first phase is, right, is for 20,000 though?
That is correct.
Okay.
So-
And it's not to
possible
exceed
segment-
20,000, but it could.
But it's possible to segment the 20,000.
You know, that really would be up to them how much they would.
I mean, we've done this much good deliberation about this, and this is something that's, you know, in the benefit of, you know, the town and the climate and everything. And I just really think that this going, like, I want to vote yes for this, Gregory, but I want to do it under the guise of, we know where we stand financially, okay? And we don't right now. So I'm gonna have to vote against it, you see?
That's fine. So you said roll call?
Yeah, so
So Tim,
you can call each of the members. Yeah.
Tim,
No,
Gregory, yes.
Diana know it, but if it fails, I will support the amendment to go to the next. I went to his facility, it was great, it was absolutely great, but I've got a memorial for extended.
I vote yes.
So the vote carries and the supervisor will move forward with the contract. Yeah. Thank you.
I think this places us on the right side of history,
Yes.
and I think we're gonna be able to enjoy working here in Berlin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not sure which of you is going to read the next resolution, but I would just like
Want to do that?
no, I just would like to make a change to it. So I can propose and an explanation to all of you. So as you know, I lost Doreen and Wendy. So we have currently Mariam in the office, who is there, not on all days. So we're looking, so currently I'm looking to cover the hours of nine to 2, 5 days a week, basically. That is what we're looking to cover. So, Mishpah, instead of being for 15 hours, I would just like for a maximum of 15 hours. So.
What's that, 92 days a week?
What?
92 days a week and 15 hours.
I know, but there are some weeks that
Oh,
she
so
may do more,
not every
but I
day.
just, I just want a maximum. It's not gonna, I'm not gonna necessarily need her for a total of 15. But so basically between the two of them, I'm looking to have full-time coverage from like 9 to 2. And then we'll see where we go once we get everything.
All right, resolution to hire part-time deputy clerk. Be it resolved that Nishmat Zulfikar is appointed in the part-time position of deputy town clerk, civil service, number 2480, exempt, be paid on an hourly rate of $17 per hour, 15 hours per week, 780 hours annually, budget code A1410.1, 13,260 annually. Is there a second? Is there a discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Resolution to declare the highway vehicles as surplus. Whereas that Hurley Town Board has identified 2 trucks to be declared surplus. The 2002 Ford F-350 rack truck and 2000 Ford Escape. therefore be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to declare both trucks as surplus in order the highway superintendent to advertise both trucks to act with auctions international to be sold at the highest bidder. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Resolution to award landfill sampling and analytical services to the lowest qualified bidder. Whereas the town's behalf, Crawford and Associates Engineering received 3 bids for 2024 annual water quality sampling, AWQS, town landfill post closure monitoring purposes, and whereas the Pace Analytical is the lowest qualified bidder, therefore be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to award the landfill sampling and analytical service to Pace Analytical.
Second.
Any discussion? By the way, this is mandated by the DEC.
I'm just gonna ask that question. Is it possible to increase the, area of sampling? How would that happen? How to decide what it's,
I think there were sites already that they had one of the wells, there were 10 wells all over around the, like 5 or 6 test wells. Yes. They will tell us, yes.
They will definitely tell us.
Yes. I mean, again, this is comes right from the DEC. All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. So this is
this is just the building.
Right. This resolution is to adopt a new building permit fee schedule. Be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley approves the attached building permit fee schedule. The only thing that has changed on here is there's a slight increase to solar and short-term rental. I didn't get the previous figure from.
No, you just changed those two.
I see that. Oh, that's solar.
Yeah.
No, that's solar,
That's STR, the short-term rental, and this is solar.
But what is the, subdivision?
That's the planning.
Oh, okay.
This is just the building.
That is falling.
Right.
Yes.
Correct.
Need a second.
I second it.
Any discussion?
Well, with the solar, is there a limit to the, the upper limit on the 3%? Because that's, depending on the size of the solar array, there would be a significant, cost preventing people potentially from building a renewable energy facility, which, I think we're looking at, something that, the town is in line with the objectives, right?
What is the match? Is it 12?
Well, is it, but the job cost, you wanna know what my job cost was? Was 3% of $65,000.
That's too much money.
That's a lot of money.
So Paul couldn't be here tonight at the last minute. He was gonna be here to answer those questions, which I can't answer.
Let's table it for next.
Yeah, I think we'll have to table it.
Because I just don't want to see, the cost of the fee.
Yep.
Causing jobs to not be done.
Yeah, I think my guy paid almost $2,000, which I thought was crazy amount of money. This would be way more than that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's table it.
Okay. Do I have to make one? Yeah, a motion to table?
I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
You're second.
Yeah.
You make a motion, I second it.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next one is basically the 284, the agreement for the expenditure of highway monies, section 284 of the highway law agreement between the town superintendent of highways of the town of Hurley of Ulster County, state of New York, and the undersigned members of the town board pursuant to the provisions. I gotta read this whole thing.
You want me to read it?
Go ahead.
Pursuant to the provisions of section 284 of the highway law, we agree that monies levied and collected in the town for the repair and improvement of highways, the revenues from equipment rentals, reimbursement for snow and ice removal, and other charges for services of reappropriated funds, and the CHIPS and other state aid for highways shall be expended as follows. 1A, general repairs. The sum of $135,000 shall be set aside to be expended for basic work and general maintenance and repairs upon 52.16 miles of town highways, including sluices, drainage ditches, culverts, and bridges having a span of less than 5 feet, tree and brush removal, boardwalks, sidewalks that are the responsibility of the town, emergency activities as such are authorized by the town board, and other activities involved with the care, upkeep, maintenance of town, of highways and bridges of the town. 1B, permanent improvement, highways, the sum of $328,294.27 shall be set aside to be expended for the permanent improvements of town highways. The town highways that are intended to be improved include, and the asterisk there with the number includes a note stating $28,294.27 rollover of CHIPS funding that came from 2023. Okay, Ed, on a street known as Rosa Lane, commencing at Hurley Avenue to dead end, a distance of 0.27 miles, 225 tons of type 6 blacktop, estimated cost $22,500. On a street known as High Rocks Road, commencing at Ohio Mountain Road to a cul-de-sac, a distance of 0.21 miles, 250 tons type 6 blacktop, estimated cost $25,000. On a street known as Eagles Nest Road, commencing at Hurley Mountain Road to cul-de-sac for a distance of 0.57 miles, 900 tons type 6 blacktop, estimated cost $90,000. On a street known as Pryor's Lane, commencing at Morgan Hill Road and looping back for a distance of 0.6 miles, 500 tons type 6 blacktop, estimated cost $50,000. On a street known as Laurel Lane, commencing at New York State Route 28 to cul-de-sac for a distance of 0.08 miles, 120 tons of type 6 blacktop, estimated cost $12,000. On a street known as Bristol Road, commencing at Old Route 28 Road for a distance of 0.16 miles, 160 tons type 6 blacktop, estimated cost $16,500. On a street known as Braun Road, commencing at Old Route 28 to cul-de-sac for a distance of 0.04 miles, 325 tons type 6 blacktop, estimated cost $32,500. On a street known as Ohio Court, commencing at Fieldstone Road to cul-de-sac for a distance of 0.13 miles, 195 tons type 6 blacktop, estimated cost $19,500. On a street known as Collier Road, commencing at Dug Hill Road to Route 28A for a distance of 0.28 miles, 320 tons type 6 blacktop, estimated cost $32,000. On a street known as Mataloni Road, commencing at Morgan Hill Road to a cul-de-sac for a distance of 0.11 miles, 115 tons type 6 blacktop, estimated cost $11,500. Total $311,500. Executed this 26th day of March 2024, and then it would need to be executed by the board here.
Okay.
Discussion. I have a question, Mike. You got 10 jobs here. Can you get them all done?
We're probably gonna come back to the board for finding some other roads that we might have to chip seal instead of pave. We might have to adjust it.
How many of these roads here were put in last year that weren't, paved last
High
year?
Rocks, Eagles Nest, and Rosa.
So those are the top three for this year. I know.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Any further discussion? Aye. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
We have to sign this, all right?
Yeah.
I think we have to sign it.
Yeah, this one has to sign.
Yes, you'll need to sign, everyone, y'all.
What good is that?
Yeah, I'll hold copies, basically.
So you need 5 copies?
No,
No, just, yeah.
Yeah, so Mike, you sign it and pass it down.
Yes. Just like pass one of their copies.
I think Mike.
All right, next business.
Eric, I'll let him go first.
You want me to go next?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Eric,
Step right ahead now.
Come up here, Eric. so you
No,
can
that-
speak. Okay.
You don't want me to, you don't need,
Okay,
I'm Eric Stewart, and I have the honor of representing Old Hurley in the county legislature. I also represent the western portion of Marbletown and the rest of Marble, which is basically Stone Ridge, and the rest of Marbletown I share with manager. So ever since, the tragic accident when the young boy was struck on Xantok Road on a scooter, the town board and I have been working with the county to try to, address these situations. And unfortunately, a lot of these situations have been going on for decades, and even longer. As I'm sure you are aware, and as Highway Superintendent Schultes mentioned earlier, a lot of these roads were laid out, as carriage roads, and they weren't really designed to have 2 lanes of automobile traffic. And then, when we saw a lot of growth in this area during the 1950s and 1960s, the infrastructure that we would like to see now, was not added at that time. And so, we're in the position now of really playing catch up on a lot of these issues. And these issues are traffic safety and pedestrian safety and drainage. And all of these kind of come together and kind of explains the situation that we're in currently. What I haven't really created a formal presentation of any sort, but what I thought I would do is just quickly run through some of the things that the town board and the county are working on. And then I thought we could,
Well, what we do is we have a public comment coming next. They can discuss anything, and that'd be your chance, their chance to talk to you.
Perfect. Okay, so great. Stop signs. That was, kind of the first thing we did to deal with the situation. Unfortunately, as we all are aware, one of those stop signs was vandalized and stolen. And I wanted to thank Highway Superintendent Schultes and the town board for, dealing with that situation and getting that replaced. The situation on Xantok, we are all familiar with, the deep ditches that lie on either side of the road. We had a meeting with Deputy Executive Amanda Laval and also Brendan Masterson, who is the Commissioner of Public Works, was in on that meeting. We've also been meeting with Dennis Doyle, who is County Planning Director, and also other county officials as well, to try to, come to grips with the situation. And what has happened so far is that the Department of Public Works did an initial feasibility assessment of filling in adding culverts and then filling in the ditches on the cemetery side of Xantok Road. And those, let's see, the area that we're talking about would be from Hillside Road to the area across from 96 Xantok. To take it further, and I'm sorry, I'm reading from a response to a letter that I wrote to Mr. Masterson. And he said, continuing the closed drainage to Benson Court and points further east may require the removal of mature trees owned by residents or installing a narrower shoulder in that section. So at this particular moment, I'm not exactly sure how far, this culvert, the installation of the culvert and then, burying the culvert will go on that road. That's sort of yet to be determined. We will, and obviously, it's a shame to have to cut down beautiful mature trees, but we also don't want children being struck by cars. So these are issues that we have to deal with. The reason why we're doing it on the cemetery side of the road and not the side of the road with all the private homes, it's my understanding that there are water lines that are at risk working on that side. Also, we would have to, get approval, permission, from all those different, landowners to do any sort of work. So there's like legal issues there. There's the water line issue, and also there are power lines overhead. So it makes working on the residential side of that street very difficult. So as it is now, you know, they did the feasibility study for the cemetery side. They found it to be, you know, worthy and you know, appropriate to pursue. And so, the next step is to, excuse me while I look down at my notes. The next step is that the Department of Public Works will be conducting a survey, a hydraulic analysis, and they're going to be working on a design for drainage improvements all along the cemetery side of Santa Road. So that there is progress being made. In addition to that, you know, crosswalks were brought up earlier. I think crosswalks are desperately needed. I think everyone agrees on that. The problem is that in order to install a crosswalk, you have to have it going from a sidewalk to a sidewalk. You can't just have the crosswalk going into someone's lawn or onto the shoulder of the road. And in addition to that, it can't be the situation that we have on some parts of Main Street currently, where there are sidewalks on the north side of the street, but there are not sidewalks on the other side, or there's like little segments of sidewalks. And so for the crosswalks to be installed, you have to have long contiguous sections of sidewalk on both sides of the street. So that's a problem. And again, we're dealing with, you know, we would have to deal with private homeowners. The right of way, as Mr. Schultes mentioned earlier, is, you know, are issues there. So the sidewalks are something that is something that is very much being discussed, but it's a difficult and complex situation. Sidewalks are also extremely expensive to install. One thing that the town is doing is, as I'm sure you're aware, the town has recently hired a grant writer, Tony Bonaviste, and he is looking into a federal program that's from the Department of Transportation that is administered actually by the state of New York and awarded by the state of New York. And this is the Safe Routes to School program. And we are hoping to get that grant out as soon as possible. And, you know, we're looking at, you know, the federal and the state and federal government to come to our assistance on that. Of course, with grants, you have no guarantee that you will get the grant. But that's something that we're working on. I've also met with the principal, Erin Nelson at E.C. Meyer Elementary, and she has expressed, you know, concern about sidewalks, specifically as it relates to Schoolhouse Road. And the reason why that is an issue is because when in the, you know, unfortunate situation that the school might have to be evacuated, that is the evacuation route the students take that goes out of the school, up Schoolhouse to Main, and then they would hang a left on Main and go down to the Reformed Church, which is kind of the official evacuation site for the schools. So currently, Schoolhouse is extremely problematic because the street is extremely narrow. The street is extremely steep, has terrible lines of sight. There are no sidewalks on either side of the road. Right now, they have an agreement with a private property owner across the street that allows the students to like basically walk across their lawn to get to the church. So that kind of brings us to the issue of Schoolhouse. So we're working on the sidewalks, and like I said, the issue with Schoolhouse, there's many issues, some of which I just kind of discussed. What we're hoping to do would be to perhaps, you know, we discussed several things. We discussed making that a one-way road. Unfortunately, everyone that I have spoken to seems to think that is really not a good idea. It would require an extensive study of traffic patterns. And the problem is when you make a road one way in one area, it causes traffic flow to be affected, all the areas surrounding it. One thing that we think might be a better solution, and then we've also heard the discussion earlier about how, you know, if you make Schoolhouse a one-way road, then people who live on Russell Road would have issues, you know, would have to, you know, cross 209. And so that's something that we're trying to avoid as well. But one thing that the town can do on Schoolhouse is, since that is a town road, we could look at lowering the speed limit there. We could also look at keeping trucks off of that road, or, you know, banning trucks from the road. That would apply to large, like semi-truck type situations, but not delivery trucks. So that's one thing that I think the town, you know, we should really look at. Let's see what else. I'm sorry, I have like my notes just scroll all over here. So we are, like I said, looking to reduce speed limits, especially on Zandhook, which so many residents have brought up personally to me. And so, you know, that is one thing, and that is a county road. And so we're going to look at lowering the speed limit on Zandhook. And unfortunately, lowering speed limits is a lot more of a complex process than you would expect. It requires several months of traffic studies and traffic monitoring. But that's something that we're going to pursue, is lowering the speed limit. With so much of these issues that we're looking at, we're, you know, and then they all, you know, kind of fit together. It's matters of education. It's you know, we have to educate the public as to, like, you know, what we're planning to do, you know, what the goals would be, you know, and get their feedback on stop signs and all that sort of thing. But it's also a matter of engineering. So we have to, you know, work with the town engineer and the county and the highway supervisor and everyone else in making sure that, you know, whatever we do to address sidewalks and traffic won't contribute even more to the drainage problems that the town is encountering basically everywhere. And then it's matters of enforcement. And this has been brought up on numerous occasions.
That's a major one.
This evening. And I did speak with, or actually I was in communication with the Sheriff Figueroa just yesterday. And he told me that they will be increasing patrols on Zandhook Road. This is specifically related to speeding, but it's also related to people ignoring the stop signs. So we can definitely expect increased patrols in that whole area by the Sheriff's Department, which is awesome. I also wanted to give a shout out to Superintendent Schultes and thank him for putting the speed trailer that's actually owned by the town of Hurley on Zandhook Road. That was awesome. Thank you so much. And you know, that will help gather data on traffic, and it will also you know, be like a visual reminder to make people slow down.
The reason for that is to get data. It'll show us who stops and who doesn't stop.
Yes.
It'll give us the time of day when most violators are going through.
This way, we'll get by Sheriff Figueroa.
It'll give us a good snapshot. So we'll leave it there for a week and then we'll get that data back to you and they can get to Juan. And, you know, enforcement is the only way. I mean, I had to stare down a guy today to get him to stop.
Right.
And then as soon as I turned my back and started walking down the road to get to my truck, somebody in a white minivan blew through it 30 miles an hour or more.
And I know that, and I want to acknowledge and also thank the residents in the area for, you know, taking so much initiative on themselves and reaching out to town and county government, but also one gentleman, Paul Zweifel, who was here earlier.
Still there.
Oh, I'm sorry. There you are. I didn't see you. He actually worked on a traffic study that he presented that information to the county and to the town. And so many other people have taken the time to write and to make phone calls. In fact, I've been kind of deluged with emails, but you know, that's a good thing. So, I wanted to, thank the residents for taking such initiative and, letting your voices be heard on this matter. So you got this, another thing that I wanted to, thank the town board and, the highway superintendent for was dealing with the situation with the school bus stop on Zandhook Road and Terrace. The school bus stops are not part of, that's not the town's jurisdiction, that's not the county's jurisdiction, that lies with the school district. And so, it was a great thing that the town took it upon themselves to, bring in gravel and, correct that big muddy mess. I'm sorry, did I?
Well, it's the right thing to do. But
Yes.
one thing the county can do is they can put they have the new signs for the school bus stop, and they can put one on the other side of the turn there to slow them down. They're a fluorescent green color. We put them on Duck Hill and some other roads, and they alert the people that there's a school bus stop ahead, and they help quite a bit.
Excellent.
So, I mean, if Brennan can get one of those up before the turn where that school bus stops, it's be a big help too.
Right, and that also brings us to the topic of signage. Signage is a real problem throughout all the streets in that area. You don't see a lot of signs about posting what the actual speed limit is, the speed limit they want to lower. You don't see that many speed limit signs. You don't see school zone signs. So signage, I think, is kind of a low hanging fruit, and that's something that we definitely will be looking into.
It's gonna have to be a concerted effort between myself alerting the board passing a resolution, getting to you, the county, supporting us, and then going to DOT on Quarry Street and having them issue it. So I'd love to see, all Joy's Lane down to 25. I would love to see State Route 28 at the bridge drop down to 45 and then 35 at the.
28 is a huge issue that's being discussed.
I'm talking about 209.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in the rail
But
trail.
yeah.
Slow them down.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you mentioned 28.
No, no, I'm going 209.
Yeah, I mean, I think that 209, I'd like to see a light there.
I don't think they'll ever put a light there for reason being, well, they could, but it'd be really difficult because you can't see the line of sight coming from the north to the south. You can't see the light if they put the light in there. The lights are about $1.5 million.
They'd have to remote it onto the bridge.
Yeah.
And so much of what I understand, the DOT's main goal is to keep traffic moving as opposed to trying to slow.
Right. So I think if they did.
Well, I mean, other towns along the 209 corridor have lights.
That is true. That is
Fort
true.
has a light. Ellenville, Napanock has a light. Ellenville has several. Walmart got themselves a light.
But they have.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I think that would be a big safety thing. I'm just saying that you're liable to meet with some resistance to that, but I think it's something that should definitely be
I
explored.
think a really good start though would be a 45 speed zone at the north bridge, the north parking lot of the rail trail.
Mhm.
And then once you get down towards this bridge out here, that it drops to 35. And after the intersection here, you go back up to 45. And then when you get down past Vessel Road, they can go back up to 55.
Right.
I think that would help tremendously.
That's what you have in Marble
Because I'll
Town.
tell you, when we paved Vessel Road, and we had to do traffic control out there, it was a nightmare.
Yes.
Absolute nightmare.
Yeah, from, where also County Community College is, like Davenport Farm going north there, that's all 40.
So if we could
So
get,
why not?
So
board work with
it seems
the
like the speed limit needs to be addressed in a lot of different areas. And, as Mr. Schultz just said, it's a complex process. But that's something I think that we, will definitely want to look into. And,
the Ulster County Traffic Safety Council should have data. They're the ones that put the rubber lines across the road and count the vehicles and the speed. There should be plenty of data to support that they go through fast. I mean, my guy was out mowing the rail trail one day and watched that guy get hit on a motorcycle and killed.
yeah, that was a horrible
Bad
situation. Yeah.
Needs to slow the traffic down to protect people.
So the next step that we're planning to do is that, we're planning to have a meeting with, town officials, including the highway superintendent, and the town engineer. And that will be also include, myself and, Brendan Masterson from Department of Public Works, Dennis Doyle, Juan Figueroa, the sheriff. So anyway, we're planning on having a meeting with all the key stakeholders, hopefully within the next 2 weeks, sometime in early April. So that will be the next time that hopefully we'll have more news. To report.
I guess I have a question for you about you, when you were going through about sidewalks, you said how expensive they are.
Yes.
And so we're covering the current plan is to cover the drainage ditch and install culvert along that side of the road and then cover it, but not to install any type of a sidewalk because,
right.
Hearing that they're expensive, doesn't really, our constituents who've lost people's lives don't really want to hear how expensive a sidewalk is.
Well, that's true, and I understand that point. What we are planning to do is, I had a discussion with Mike the other day. The county is concerned about putting a sidewalk or even, like a walking path, on that particular area over where they're covering the culverts. The county's idea was to leave it more like a shoulder. And I said that, the town would really like to see a walking path. And so, I spoke with Mike and that is something that we're going to discuss with the county. And it could be that maybe we can get the county to pay for, and the county will pay for the culverts and filling in the culverts. But it might be that the town and the county can work together and the town could put down item 4 or something else to serve as a walking path as opposed to a formal sidewalk.
I'll just so you know, most of the water is on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
And that's the water that goes down into residents in Orchard Street and floods their septic systems and that. So that's why when we talk, I always propose putting the drainage on the
right
other side of the road. And the other thing was with the cemetery, there's rumor that there are people buried right up.
You had mentioned that. Yeah, that sounds complex. So perhaps these are things that we can bring up at that meeting, in early April. But as it sounds right now, that's what the Department of Public Works is planning to do. But based on further conversation, maybe,
There's been multimodal and school beds have been discussions are going on in the Ulster County Traffic Safety Council since I was supervisor in 06, 07.
Yes, and I did actually.
Prior to that. So it's been a long time in trying to solve this problem.
Yes, it's been a long and complex and arduous road.
Continue with.
Hopefully it becomes less complex. and arduous. Also, you mentioned the Traffic Safety Council. I have reached out to Brian Slack, who is the head of that organization.
You would have to go back to 2004 or 5, back in that.
We also had mentioned speed humps. He recommends, he's not a big, he's kind of cautious against using speed humps. He says that these should be used in areas of little to no grade, low traffic volumes, and speed limits of 30 miles per hour or less. It's also a problem with plowing. I'm sure Mr. Schultes can shed some light on that. And I believe in a conversation earlier with Mr. Schultes, he had said that, you're installing the speed humps on Joyce Lane. Is that right?
We're doing a traffic study on Joy's Lane. We got a portable speed hump that we're going to install probably in the next couple of weeks here now.
Perfect.
And then we'll put that speed sign on the speed hump to see how the traffic slows down, et cetera. And then we'll get that data. And if it works, then we'll install permanent speed humps like that are out by the new traffic circle, Canada Drive.
And then we could also take that same information to the county and look at perhaps installing speed humps or bumps somewhere else too.
So you will bring that up at your
Yes.
report or exam?
Yes. Let's see. Another thing that has not happened yet, they have not painted the stop bars, which are the lines on the road in front of stop signs. That's in the works and that will be coming.
Eric, a question about that. What would it take?
Sure.
Because I think this might help You know, I see in some municipalities where they have stop signs that they've set up, especially when they're new, where they flash. What would something like that cost instead of having people expecting someone to be stopping and then blasting? But because there's definitely a point to the fact, that these are causing accidents or potentially could right now because they're so new and people are unaware.
I couldn't answer that question for you. Maybe Mr. Schultz might have.
Yeah, I've been looking at trying to get a price on them.
Okay.
I know they're solar.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, I mean, just, even if they could be like we could buy a couple of them, and then once, several months has passed, and if we install a stop sign, we could then migrate it over to being a regular stop sign as opposed to blinking.
And they'll go back to going through it.
I don't know about that.
Enforcement is the ultimate.
Yeah. Guys, in the interest of time.
Okay, sure. I'm sorry. So, I've been told that they're gonna have a public comment in just a minute, and then we can hear from you. So, I guess that's basically all I had, currently, but I would be happy to answer questions when the time is appropriate. So, okay, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Fine for me. Thanks for waiting. Hi, I'm Ralph Durham. I live at 94 Ridge Drive in West Hurley. I'm treasurer of the O&W Rail Trail Municipality. I'm on the Hurley Rail Trail Committee, and I'm also on the Conservation Advisory Committee of Hurley. And I just wanted to talk to you tonight a little bit about what's happening with some of the trails in our neighborhood. Recently, and I'm sure a lot of you might have already gotten to see it, we, Ulster County, along with Central Hudson, has just completed 1.8 miles of paved trail that now connects Washington Avenue to the 209 rail trail. It's a beautiful trail, well done. And in addition to that, because we know there's a bit of a problem for cars that are trying to come out of that little parking area, we're trying to divert people to the sidewalk to Hurley Avenue and going up to what used to be the Freeman Building. It's now been bought and it's now owned. It's the O&W building. And they gave access from the road, which has a bike lane, access through their parking lot to the trail. So it's a really nice couple of improvements that we've seen in our neck of the woods. What I did notice is that with everything that's been going on and with OSI and they're building further down south and they're putting up very nice kiosks, I took a look at the 3 kiosks that we have here in Hurley. And if you've taken time to look at them, they're not in great shape. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to be working with some of the trail advisory people to submit a Hudson River Valley Greenway grant to see if we can come up with maybe $5,000 or $10,000, and maybe we can upgrade those kiosks, because it really is kind of eyesore. They're old, and the tops are all just, it's really not pleasant to look at, as much as we have, as nice as the trail is. Just to let you know, more of the beautification that took place a year ago, the DOT, we had a contract to plant from Russell Road south, to plant some really nice varieties and species of trees and plants. A year has already gone by, and they're going to be coming by. They're going to check and see what survived, what's alive, what's dead. Anything dead, they will replace. So that's another nice thing that's been going on.
Nice.
And that's it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
All right. Yep.
I guess now, finished all the resolutions and all the presentations, so I make a motion to open, public comment at this point right now. Is there a second? Second, discussion? Fire away. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Anybody want to say?
I still have to go up.
Yeah.
Public speaking is not my, I guess I just have one question for the rail trail. That new section is beautiful, by the way. I've walked it many times since it has opened with my dogs. One thing I have noticed is I didn't realize you were gonna be here tonight, so this is kind of a new question. Are there any plans for trash cans along that route? Currently, there is a huge lack of trash cans, even on the main strip along 209. I think there's only one, when you head into the woods, and then actually there's like probably 3 along that strip. But I'm constantly picking up other people's dog waste, and it's fine if it's just left out, but people pick it up and they leave it in the bags on the side, and they don't really pick it up.
The gentleman who spoke earlier, Bill,
Mm-hmm.
He has been a real gem because he walks his dog every day down the O&W Trail in Hurley, and he does take care of the waste, the dog waste that is deposited in those doggy.
And they are always full. Those are always full. So I hope there's a plan.
I'm
for
hoping
maybe a
that,
couple
yes,
more.
that maybe, and I believe there is.
Yeah.
They will be putting those receptacles along that section of trail.
Great.
As far as the garbage pails are concerned, it's a county project, so I can talk to the county
That
and
would be
see
amazing.
if that's something that is doable.
Great, thank you.
Would that be compost?
All right, if I could add something just real quick. I also serve on the Trail Advisory Committee with Ralph, and that's something that, we could certainly discuss the ways that the county and the town could work together on, dealing with those situations. I also wanted to recognize Ralph because several months ago, I had a meeting with Ralph and also his counterpart who heads the Marbletown Trail Committee. And one thing that they said would be a really great thing is, we should look into composting toilets on the trailheads. And I thought that was such a great idea. And actually, I was able to secure funding for a feasibility study for that. And that's actually happening.
Great.
And so
I love to hear that.
So hopefully we'll be seeing, and since you're talking about waste and trails and
Yeah. It's all coming together.
It's all coming together. So anyway, we're hoping that, to have that feasibility study completed and then, have composting toilets installed along the rail trails.
Amazing. And I just have one more thing. Obviously, this is a very long meeting. Traffic has been a huge concern of mine. I'm very passionate about this. I walk my dogs on a daily basis in the area, and I just want to thank you all for hearing us out and making it a big deal, really, and taking the time to hear the residents of Hurley and letting us know what your plans are. I do hope for some more enforcement in the area. As much as I love the signs don't work if if people are just blatantly disregarding them. So thank you again. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maggie Colan, Stone Ridge and Hurley Planning Board Secretary. I saw Peter left, so I'm just gonna ask if the town board could please decide April 25th, since it's also a planning board day, and we have to meet this Thursday and schedule public hearings. If there was a proposal that, since you guys we all usually start at 6, if we could back one of them back to 5 and back one of them forward to 7. And I don't care which one.
There's a 5th Tuesday in April, and my suggestion to the rest of the board had been that we move to the 5th Tuesday, April 30th, and then that clears away the planning board. Well, the planning board, you guys have a lot of moving pieces with attorneys and different types of people that are coming before the board, so.
That's the only reason I asked.
What?
Assistant District Attorney night is the 30th.
Okay.
Criminal court.
Okay.
So just before you end, make some decisions, so I know Thursday night. Thank you.
If I could add one thing really quick about enforcement. Actually, the sheriff's department did have someone out there last week after receiving complaints from myself and others and folks who live there. And one thing that made him decide to, add these increased patrols is that in one afternoon, one brief session last week, they gave 5 tickets in like 2 hours. So, and that's for people running through stop signs.
I have seen them.
Yes.
So fixed. Hi, Harry McNamara again. I know we kind of spoken more high level before. Again, thanks for being here. But in terms of specifics, I would just like to raise my voice for on Schoolhouse Lane. One thing that we can do really easily, I know we talked about signage, is there's no school zone signs on Schoolhouse Lane. I mean, it's like a school zone. There's no school zone. There's a pedestrian in yellow. There's no school zone signage there. I mean, I walk it every day.
Yes.
And so that is an easy one. But I understand that it's not practical to make it a one-way street. I actually agree with that, but I would love to see speed humps on that because it's not an on-ramp to 209, and that's the only way you're going to get people to actually slow down. Even with enforcement, people are going to speed. Now, on the other side of that coin, a lot of talk about enforcement. Love the sheriff, love having more things here, but we have to just lower the speed limits and put the signs. Our good citizens will follow them, and all of those non-speeders will go the new speed limits, as I know all my neighbors here will. And they're going to be bad actors, but that's always the case, and most people will follow it. So let's lower it, and we'll get 75% of people in the new nice low speed limit. It's going to be that much better for everybody, aside from those bad eggs. So anyways, thanks again. Great progress, everyone.
I'll go look at that tomorrow, because we thought we had a school sign there, but I know that if you want to put a school zone sign, you gotta, again, without that board, that's gotta go down and they gotta approve it, and then it drops to 15 miles an hour. I think the reason they didn't do that previously was because the main ingress and egress for the children was on Millbrook and not on Schoolhouse. Only the teachers and the staff use that side, so I think that's why they turned it down. But
there is that escape thing, so
Right.
yeah, so maybe we could use that.
So I have a question. So I don't live over there, but how would they feel about closing one end of the street off?
No.
Hook, just that little piece there?
No, I live on Hudson River.
Well, no, I mean, do you have to cut, I never take Hook. I mean, through the cemetery, because it's private, it's very residential road. But, what if they couldn't make a right turn there?
Oh, you're talking about Fortner.
Well, no, I'm talking about
Fortner.
across the street, like where they put the stop sign at the corner. What if you couldn't make a right turn on that piece of Hook that goes around? I mean, maybe people
We
would.
have to do something that,
That would be amazing.
Would that be amazing?
The amount of cars that come down that road.
Yeah.
Because of the stop sign, because it's easier to take a right.
At that point.
And then you don't have to go through the other 2 stop
Right.
signs. People are now just rolling through the stop sign, and it's loud. It's loud, and the amount of cars that come through there now is
What about trucks?
twofold.
And there's
So-
just some way to get rid of trucks all over the street?
So on Google Maps, in order to in order to reroute trucks
Yeah.
with GPS,
Yeah.
you need to have a sign that says no trucks.
So I think we could do no trucks in some places.
We could do no trucks.
That eliminate, and then it could be out for GPS. Yeah, I mean, at least do some no trucks, and if the residents don't mind having, closing off that side of the road, maybe that's really a good solution.
That would require a traffic, that would require a traffic study. And in general, the county is loath to block off roads, just in general. So,
In general,
yeah.
but they're gonna need to study it.
They look at it as emergency services.
Right.
Yeah.
Emergency services is an exception.
Right.
It's such a small piece of road, just come around the other way.
So I just wanted to thank everybody for, you know, giving us these suggestions, and like I said, we will be having a meeting in about 2 weeks, and, we'll bring all this, yes.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a great thing. The enforcement, I think is just not realistic. Having a police officer on a road, it's just not a good use of time or resources. I think physical barriers are the only way to stop cars, slow them down 24 hours a day.
You could use the toll money.
And the speed humps, the snowplows can negotiate them like they do at the roundabout, Broadway and Albany Avenue, right? And it's different than a speed bump. Speed bump, snowplows will destroy them, but speed humps are rated so that snowplows can negotiate them. And if you put them before intersections, it will force cars to slow down. And the National Transportation website has a whole segment on municipalities that can't enforce, so they have what's called a road diet. And it slows down. It's physical barriers. If it's a roundabout at 209, that forces cars to slow down because stoplights, people are going to go through them. Stop signs, people are going to go through them. And then also I'd like to know if there's any proposal or possibility of having a shoulder or something for the southern part of Zandvoort from West Street to Lucas Ave, because there's nothing.
Oh, that's terrible.
They just have
From West Street south to Lucas Ave. And the majority of the families live on the southbound side, and there is absolutely nothing to walk. It would be great if they could connect to whatever the building. Yeah.
It's just the space that they would need on either side.
Well, it should be one side. Is it possible to shift?
No, I mean, if they did it on the south side.
Yeah.
You got your big slope down to all the houses. If you did it on the other side, you gotta cut the bank back so far, and either way, you have to, again, I don't know what the right of ways are, but I'm guessing that they're road by use, so they don't have the right of way. They would have to get easements. And, if people didn't agree to the easements, and they have to go to court to get some, and then you wait a year or two to see how much the county would have to pay for those easements. It's,
well, if we got to the moon.
it'd be a nice thing to do, I know, we've discussed it. You know, you're trying to get the dollars.
All right, anything else for public comment? Motion to close public comment by Diane Klein.
All in favor?
Thank you for passing it to me.
Thank you, like.
At this point right now, we'd like to go to executive session and talk about, removal or dismissal of a town employee. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next week. I would like to invite also into a executive session Jankowski, Tracy Keller, John Jim Quigley, and also Wendy Joe.
I think I told John.
I'll close down
Schedule some public hearings. Thank
Oh, you might. All right, so starting with the much prettier trails. Right, just for us. Make sure you know like. Anyway, that's very well.
I don't want to. And the rest of all this, Jim Hurley takes care of it in the morning. How's that?